And we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
Yes, good to have you, ARTIMORTIFICA. We are with the artist, ARTIMORTIFICA, also known as ARTIMORBID. And I'm going to give a quick tweet of this out while people are coming in to enjoy YouStories. And we know that I don't do this fast, so I'm going to retweet it really quick. And I am seeing welcome. Oh, and we are filtering in. Fantastic. We're going to have a great show tonight, guys.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is cool. Very happy to be here.
I am so happy you are here. There's so many cool things to talk about. If you guys did not know, if anybody can type something into the chat so I know that it's working, it would be much appreciated for you, lady, and tweet it out.
If it's hard to pronounce my name, you can call me Frank, if it's easier.
Hey, yes, that's right. We've got Ammo, we've got Angel Domingue, we've got Professional Student. Hey, baby, Professional Student is here. Trucking Studios, plus DIYs with Ash.
Angel, you guys are awesome. Glad to see you guys here.
Guys rock. We're gonna put we're live now, and we've got everybody coming in. Cool. This is gonna be the most awesome show. And here we go. All right, and I've got it tweeted out. If y'all want to tweet it, everything, and let's give a super hello to Professional Student because she's gonna be a guest in the future. But she is also the one who discovered me on YouTube in the first place when I first came on. So,
and actually, I discovered you through her, I believe, because she's the first one I found was Professional Student was the first person I found in the community, and then I think I found you through her, as a matter of fact.
Yes. So without you, Professional Student, I would not know Frank, ARTIMORTIFICA, or ARTIMORBID. We would not be having this now without you, honey. So
exactly.
Big round of applause. And Miss Kathy and Jesse.
Hello, Kathy and Jesse. Welcome to the show. Hello there. So awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. So excited. We do a quick announcement before we get rolling, and we are going to jump right into this because there is so much to talk about. I'm picking my daughter up, Professional Student. God bless you for coming. Oh my goodness. She rocks. I swear to God, she rocks. The show would not be happening without her.
Right.
So, anyway, quick announcement, guys. Saturday is a very special event near and dear to my heart. If you look in the description box below, you can find all of ARTIMORTIFICA, or Frank, if you prefer that, because that's what I used to call him. You can find his information below. He's in 2 bands. We're going to talk about that. So be sure to check the description box. It is jam-packed full of information, including info on future guests. I've got the schedule in there. We've got some really cool things coming up. And Saturday, May 12th, which is that's great. Okay. First one of the show. Anyway, this Saturday coming up is World Fibromyalgia Day. And for you that don't know, I have severe rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, and multiple other invisible diseases, illnesses, and syndromes. I first talked about it on My Invisible Illnesses, Paying It Forward, and brought up the series that I'm going to be doing. It's health, wellness, lifestyle, all the various things as a scientist and a patient that I can help people with. And this is not only for World Fibromyalgia Day, this is for all invisible illness. So please, it's 7:30 on Saturday. Join us, and we're going to be raising some money. We're going to be talking about it. I'm going to be helping you out. And the key thing is, I'm not leaving you after that day. I am sticking with you. I will be doing the series, and if you need extra help, please come and ask me. I'm going to give you, it's a decade plus of information and new stuff I even keep finding. Exercise modification, things that can help you feel better, all kinds of stuff that I had to go around the hard way. I want to share with you because what the hell, you should know it. And if you're healthy, guess what? It makes you feel better too. So on that note, I see everybody here. We've got Angel, Miss Kathy. All right, guys. Lady's going to take some water. And we're going to jump in. Actually, before we forget, Frank, do you have something that you wanted to say to somebody? Hey, Kasumi, what's up? Frank, can you hear me, honey? Uh-oh. Did I lose sound? Can everybody hear me? And we have Blindly Honestly just watching your puppy dog video. Okay, hold on a second here. We may have lost sound for a second. Frank, can you hear me? Frank, ARTIMORTIFICA, did you lose sound? Uh-oh, we might have lost sound for a minute. All right, let's see. It looks like he's looking down, and we had it going. We're just going to keep talking for a minute and see if we can get, hold on, let me check this. I don't see sound coming from him all of a sudden. Uh-oh. Well, it's okay. We will fix it. And I'm not seeing movement. Did he lock up? Oh, Lord. Okay, this is going to get interesting. Hazel, what is up? Awesome, awesome. All right, just one second. Yeah, I'm still on. Can you guys see Frank at all? He was just here, and he's still in the chat, except his picture is frozen suddenly, and his sound is off, and we lost him. All right, let me try to pull him back in again. And I don't know what happened. I'm going to pull him in again. It's the lovely Hangouts. This is a new one. Never had this one happen before, but don't worry. We can handle it. No big deal. So while I'm waiting for him to get back in here, that's odd. That's never happened. But you know what? That is the fun of life. That my guest just disappears. And so let's see if he can get back in, because we got some really cool stuff coming up, and there's a special message I know he wanted to give to somebody. Hey, best friend, it's your thread. I know you're working, you can't hear me. So I'm going to do the thing that I always do for best friends while I'm waiting to see if we can get Frank back in. Poor guy. Let's see, best friend, I always do this for her on Lady Borgia Live and You Stories. And I'm going to tell her I'm doing it now. All right. Okay, I don't know what that is that just happened. Well, isn't this a fun show? We've got all kinds of things popping on, popping off. I have no idea what that fish was. That's okay. And the chat just went over there. This is fun. Okay, here we go. Artemore just pulled, yeah. Poof, he disappeared, but I think he can poof back. He was very excited about this. Let's see. I'm going to tell her doing it now while I try to get him back in. Best friend. I see you, best friend. She doesn't have sound on, so this is something that I always do for her. I see that my picture is degrading a little bit. Don't worry, we will get Frank back. Trust me, trust me. Go figure, we had him on well in advance.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, we got him. See, I told you guys, you got to have faith. I knew he'd make it back. What happened?
Let me turn on my program a second.
Okay. Go for it. See, you guys, you just got to have faith. That's all. I knew he would make it back. The live things are so much fun. Hey, craft beer pours. Hey, Flora, what's up, honey? Yes, and I'll do it one more time for best friend on the thread. I always mouth it to her because she does not have the sound now when Frank's making adjustments. Best friend.
Check, check, check.
I love you. So I hope that she saw it. I do that every single time for best friend on the thread. And so, do we have sound now? Are you doing okay now, Frank?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Loud and clear. Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
All right.
So yeah, the computer crashed. I don't know. It just shut off, and then it said, "Yeah, it's crashed. We need to restart." And I was like, "Oh, wonderful."
Well, hey, it's live.
I waited
happens.
Patiently, and it came back on. So, my apologies to everybody on the chat.
they're doing good, and thank you. We're just happy to have you back. Stuff happens, and we just went through. He is a seasoned professional, and I am used to this, so we just kept rolling. Muskie Hans, hey lady. So yeah, because your picture froze, and I was just asking you a question, and I went, we lost
getting
him.
ready to get started, and all of a sudden it's like, bam, no. You will not.
We got the gremlins everywhere.
Oh, boy. No, it's all good now. Should be fine now. I hope. But if it happens, you know, who knows? I'm not sure why it crashed, but it came back on. And that's a good thing.
And we're just gonna roll with it. So before we get in, hey Hazel, thank you so much. My awesome.
Hello, Hazel. How are you?
So Angel is in here. And Angel, I know Frank had something before we get started.
Yeah.
He wanted to be sure. So I'm going to give Frank the mic right now. Go ahead.
Okay, for Angel, this is for you. Because I made a promise. I got your book.
Yay! Angel, did you hear that? Frank got your book. And he is already, like, what, 19 pages in?
Yeah, I started reading it. I'm 19 pages in. I'm loving it. Such great information in there. I was hoping to get it right, you know, right before this live stream, and I did. I got it about a day ago, and I just started reading it, you know, just a few hours ago. It's really good. I'm glad.
I am so excited to get Angel's book. I haven't had a chance yet, but let me put it into the chat just to make sure she knows. She's actually a moderator in here.
Okay.
Not that I really need moderators, but I figured certain people are here. So there she sees it. She says, wow. She's very happy.
I kept my promise. I knew I said it and I was going to do it. So I did it.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm big on that too. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, especially in the community, you gotta support one another, you know.
Exactly.
And it's very good. So far, I'm enjoying what I read so far, and I'm gonna make it through the whole thing and kind of practice what's in it as well.
Yeah, I've got to pick that one up. I got Wonder Music put his music up on iTunes and Amazon. And
oh, cool.
He has a thing where if you buy the album, you get a bonus track. You get 5 instead of 4. So I got that. I've had the pleasure of listening to ARTIMORTIFICA's 2 bands, Blood of the Wolf and Asphyxiator, for the last couple days. And
thank you so much.
They are fantastic. I mean,
that.
I have one. I love them all, but there's one song. It's a little bit on the heavier side, but that's okay. Your girl's been into heavy metal for a very long time. I can't remember not being. Although I listen to all kinds of music, but yeah.
Right. So do I. So do I.
It's freaking awesome, guys. Frank, where can we pick up before we get into it too far? I don't think I had it in the description box. Where can everybody pick up your music? And then I'll put it in after the fact. I realized when Frank and I were talking in the original conversation, we ended up having probably like a 2 or 3 hour video call.
Right.
And so we got a lot into it, and I think we finally realized he sent me the music, and I just realized, oh wait, I don't have the link to put in there.
Okay, so basically, you don't have to. You can just Google Blood of the Wolf or Asphyxiator, and then just add the word Bandcamp at the end of each one. So Blood of the Wolf Bandcamp or Asphyxiator Bandcamp, and that'll take you right to where we sell our music from. You can just download it from there. I believe both albums are like $5. I think Asphyxiator might be some free music on there for download. So or you can just listen to our music for free on YouTube. Same thing. You can just do Blood of the Wolf at YouTube or Asphyxiator YouTube, and you can listen to our albums that are available on YouTube as well if you just want to stream it and no cost, all free. Yep. That
is awesome. So you said that's following it's BANDCAMP Bandcamp after it.
Right.
Okay.
Bandcamp. Yep.
So guys, if you want to go buy it, which I will be doing so, although I have a bunch of it, but I'm all about supporting each other. Go in and Google Blood of the Wolf or Asphyxiator. Both of those band names are below. and after it put Bandcamp, and you can download his music. You don't want to miss it. It's really awesome. I got ready
and don't let the band names scare you. We're all nice guys. We're all, you know, we all have jobs. We're all very cool people. We work hard just like everybody else. So don't let that intimidate you, especially if you're not into metal. I know some people get intimidated by it and they think, you know, different things about it, but we're all good people, you know, and we just like to make extreme music. That's all. You know?
Well, and that's one of the things that we're going to discuss today that's really so interesting. We're going to Bits of Panther. I remember one time at band camp.
I should have seen that. I should have seen that coming.
That's a good one. I'm not going to finish that one, but I think I'll remember. Yes, Hazel, please remember to come back once the live stream is over and leave a comment and like and support. Thank you so much. Give a thumbs up. And if you can, tweet it out there because this is going to be fantastic. One of the things we're going to be talking about tonight is some of the how disillusioned some people are about heavy metal, people's beliefs,
right,
and other things like that. That there's a lot of misinformation and ideas that, you know, might be true for a very few, but for the most part really aren't true, such as Satanism and devil worship and, you know, evil, mean, horrible people and stuff like that. So we're going to actually be getting into a really interesting talk about that because I know that Frank has had that happen. And I, as myself, as a musician, when I was younger, I got asked many times, are you a devil worshiper? Do you sacrifice animals? Like all kinds of weird crap.
Yeah, it's a lot of stereotypes out there, you know, a lot of misconceptions. And, you know, that's due to, you know, just poor knowledge of people and what they do. So that's a big part of why, you know, the stream of information that goes out there is usually people focus on the drama and the bad parts of it. But to be honest with you, you know, metal is, now I'm not going to lie to you. There are some factions that do go towards the bad part of that, but you can easily pick out what that is, you know. But metal in itself, it encompasses a wide array of beliefs, if you want to say that. You know, but unfortunately, like everybody likes to clump everything together into one category, and they say, well, that one category is all bad and it's all this, and that, and they just generalize it when it's really not that way at all. If you got to know us as people, you know, like I said, all the guys in Blood of the Wolf and Asphyxiator, we all work. We do normal things. You know, we play this extreme music. None of the content is ill will to anybody. It's just, you know, if you're playing heavy stuff, you know, you're definitely not going to be talking about, you know, flowers and pastures. So you're gonna be talking about extreme topics, you know. Yes,
absolutely. Oh, we have Coriolis Affectment. Sorry. Hey peeps, what's up? Glad to see you. So yeah, as Frank said, we are going to be getting into that. We're going to roll back a little bit first, and then we're going to jump into it. Yeah, Bits of Panther said they should read Judge Rockers, not Just Rockers.
Okay. Yeah, well, definitely.
There you go. Yeah, because, you know, I've dealt with it too. And yeah, like you said, there are people that do that, but we're going to get into that. So first off, let me introduce him. Hazel says, Arts Morbid, I see you forget to get a fan for your studio. Yeah, he is a fan. He turned it off for you guys.
Yeah, I did. And now,
give him some applause.
You can see I'm like, oh, I'm melting. I'm melting. I'm melting for you guys. So it's okay. I can suffer a little bit.
This guy is melting for you all. So we definitely have to give him some credit for that. If he forms a puddle, as long as he can still speak, we're good though.
I'm like in Wizard of Oz. I'm melting. I'm melting.
That's exactly the thought. You just described my mental picture. That's exactly what was in my head.
See what we do for the audience? We melt into water for you guys.
We're going to become puddles, but guess what? You guys are going to be entertained and connect to each other.
And so I'm going to do today in Chicago, the weather's like 60. So you can imagine when we hit like midsummer when it's like 90 and we're trying to do this. Oh man, this is going to be brutal.
Seriously, I've already been figuring things out for the summer because Chicago and New York have similar. I used to live near Chicago, so it's very similar in the summer. Extremely hot and humid. It's very nasty. Bits of Bathroom says, yeah, live stream isn't worth dying for. Yeah, but when we decide we're going to do something, I think Frank is very similar to me in that we had to be dead or dying not to do it.
Yeah, we got to do it. I mean, I can turn on my fan, but it's just going to take away from my voice, and I don't want to do that. So it's fine. I'll just reach for the towel every once in a, every few minutes and wipe myself down. I feel like I'm in a, maybe in a boxing fight or something, maybe I need a referee to come and be like, hey, just wipe off the sweat a little bit. Kind of like in Rocky.
It's like in Rocky, exactly. You keep doing exactly what's in my head. It's like Rocky with, what was his name, Nick in his corner, or the old guy. I think it was Nick.
I think so. I think it was.
All right. Miss Kathy says she'll let you know if the fan makes too much noise if you get too hot. Angel says, turn on the fan. If it's too loud, they don't care. And people are saying, melted.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so definitely.
You guys, he cannot see the chat tonight, so I'm also reading it.
Yeah, I'm just relying. I'm relying on Lady Borgia to mediate the comments, so I can't see what you guys are talking about. Although I could, but seeing as how my my PC just crashed like a few minutes ago, I don't want to take that chance. So we're just gonna
probably best. Yeah. So I'm gonna.
I just want to roll with it as we have it now, so it doesn't crash again. Because I think even though it was only a few seconds, I just don't want it to crash again. So I'll just let her kind of talk to you, and then I can answer like that. So that should be fine.
All right. Well, yeah, guys. Anything as usual. I'll talk. So I'm going to be the mouth of the audience, which actually I do that a lot because there's people that they're not always able to see the chat, so that's no big deal. So yeah, right now everybody says they want you to be comfortable.
Okay.
So that being said, if you get too warm, go for it. Hazel says roasting Artemorbe.
This is the roasting of Frank.
The roasting of Frank.
Yeah, like
maybe another time we'll have an actual real roast, but not at this point. All right. So, anyway, we're going to start off with this. I don't usually talk a lot about a person's channel on here, but we'll go through a quick thing on it, and then I want to roll back to where he started. Artimorbe, which actually his full artist name is Artimortifica. He's got two bands, Blood of the Wolf and Asphyxiator. He's on YouTube where he does camera reviews, how-to videos. He's got a really neat series, candid shots on the Chicago streets. And we're going to get into all of that. But just to give you a little background, and one of the really cool things that he's got on there is he's very deeply into the Chicago metal underground, which is the bands that aren't even in the heavy metal mainstream, let alone mainstream, which you can find a lot of really cool stuff on there. But let's go back first. You're a guitarist in both of your bands. When did you start getting into music?
I started playing when I was 14 years old. So when I was 14, I had a lot of influence as far as just regular rock and roll through my parents. Both my parents listened to Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. So that was a constant thing that was playing around the house. So those were my first instances. So listening to rock music, listening to Black Sabbath and things like that.
Too.
And so that's how I grew up. And then as I got older, I started to listen to Guns N' Roses, for example, a lot of the more mainstream rock and roll bands at that time. And I always remember wanting to be, attracted to the guitar, and I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. So what ended up happening is my mother got me a guitar when I was 14, and it sat there for almost a year, and I did not pick up the guitar for almost a year. And she actually threw it in the garbage. So I was walking back home from school, and it was literally laying in the alley. I'm surprised nobody stole it. And I took it. I'm like, who did this? She's like, well, I'm throwing it away. You haven't played it in a year since I bought it for you. And from that moment on, I decided to start playing it, and I started to learn how to play guitar right at that moment. And from there on, it just it became a thing for me. And I started to buy books and anything I can get my hands on. I started to learn the different songs. Metallica at the time was a big influence on me. So I picked up a book that contained all the tablature, all the guitar tablature for Metallica songs. I started to learn their songs. I started to learn songs by Iron Maiden, just basically self-teaching. And the older I got, when I was 16, I started to get to know other musicians that were around, whoever played guitar. Like in high school, I would gravitate towards them and was really interested in talk to them and was willing to do anything just so they can teach me what they knew. And that's how I started collaborating and learning my first parts as far as guitar is concerned. And from there on, it turned into a thing where I wanted to make a band, and I started to collaborate with other musicians wanting to form a band. And so there have been many incarnations of bands. So my very first band is actually called Dark Oasis, and we were 80 back in, I think, 89, 90. We were doing a lot of thrash metal. And we built it up from there, and actually got pretty popular from it. I was sort of thrust into playing live on stage in front of people, and so it was very, very much trial by fire. It's either you do it or you don't do it, and it's just something that's stuck with me ever since. So guitar has been my dominant force ever since.
Yeah, Rachel actually just said, Rachel Evolve, hey honey, how are you? She said, great guitar story. That is definitely a kick in the pants to get you moving.
And no one knows that. And even I've done like other radio interviews, and I've done like little magazine interviews. I've never told that story up until right now. So you guys are getting an exclusive. No one knows about that up until this moment.
Sweet. Well, thank you for sharing it with us. That's
definitely
awesome. And use stories, and that's one of the things that I love about it is people getting to tell stuff like that, and people connecting through the stories. Oh, wait, Hazel says S2W themes. I thought you guys were on a cruise on a lounge chair by the pool. Hey, if you are and you've managed to make it in here, thank you so much.
Thank you, SW themes. You guys are awesome.
That's friggin' amazing. Oh, it's next week, but whatever. Hey, you came anyway. And
hey, thanks for joining the chat. That's awesome. You guys are awesome. You guys are always supportive. I love your channel and everything you guys do on there. Very cinematic stuff. I love the videos too. It's great.
Yeah, he is. S2W Themes has got some really cool stuff. So, yeah, that story resounds a lot for me. I actually started playing at a similar age as you did, and it was really cool. Some of the same, yeah, an exclusive on You Stories, Angel. That's right. We'll get into. She says, well, then again, that inducts you into the Hall of Fame because
that's awesome.
You just entered the Hall of Fame because it actually was
super excited about that. That's cool.
Which means you're going to end up with a T-shirt because Kasumi actually, something that she said started the Hall of Fame last week in episode 3.
I was watching that one, yeah.
And she forgot she was a gamer. She also forgot where she was born, and it was extremely funny.
I know you guys were laughing through the whole thing. I was like, wow, this is a lot of fun. This is cool.
Yeah, it was something else. And so we decided that hashtag I forgot I was a gamer had to go in a shirt into the Hall of Fame. Awesome. Angels baby. And then now you are the first exclusive story. So that's definitely is going in our first exclusive story. So awesome. We have to have a t-shirt. Yeah, we're actually going to have merch for that too. That's so cool though, because the minute you said it was in the garbage, my heart just shriveled into. I'm like, oh!
You can imagine how I felt. Jesus. I was like, "What are you doing?" You know? Oh
yeah,
man,
it's a kick in the gut. But you know what? She did you a favor.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, that's a great way to get motivated. If anything else, you know, it's like you're either gonna use it or lose it. You know, so
seriously, I got told by my mother when I went to pick up a guitar initially. I write right-handed. I do certain things with art with both hands, but I went to pick up guitar lefty, and I got told no, because as you well know, left-handed guitars are more expensive than right-handed guitars.
Right, because they're unique. They're they're rare.
And my mother said, because I already played the piano and a bunch of other instruments in it, but I was about the same age as you, and she said, guess what? You're learning right, switch hands.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, and if any of you guys don't know what tablature is a way of writing music on the guitar that it kind of shows you by how the fretboard is, which that's that long thing that you put your fingers on to form the different notes. And tablature is a way of writing it. If you don't know how to read music, a lot of guitarists don't, but they do know how to read what we call for short tab.
Right, exactly.
And it's very easy to learn. It makes sense. And
it's basically like learning through numbers, because you have the numbers right there, and each number represents where you're going to place your finger and exactly on what string you're going to be placing your finger.
Yeah, so it makes it really easy. So beginners can, you know, start out right away learning songs. They don't have to necessarily go in and learn the music theory. Although I tried to, just for the mere fact, because I did on the piano, but yeah. I don't think I ever did learn it as well as I did on the piano. I did more so on the bass. Let's see, Blindly Honest said she was talking about the different music. She was mentioning, the chat drives me nuts because sometimes it jumps. Sorry about that.
It goes real fast sometimes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
All of a sudden it jumps and you're trying to go back to where it was. Oh, she said, hey, oh, she's got two things here. Okay. Blindly Honest, the first, and I'll read both of them and then you can answer them.
Okay.
She said, hey, Artimorbid, do you have any of your songs, have your songs made it to the radio? And the other one, she said, she's referring to, I think, bands and stuff like Octane or Metal Injection. So I'm going to give you both of those questions and let you go ahead and answer them.
Okay. As far as radio, like not mainstream radio, it has never reached mainstream radio. Although I have gotten music played on more less known radio stations. I actually did an interview for Chicago. I'm trying to think of the name, but it was on Ohio Street, and we actually went and did a whole interview, and they played our music on their station, even though it wasn't a mainstream one. So they played it on there. I've actually been on some interweb radio shows, and they played the music on there. But as far as like a mainstream radio and like charts and stuff like that, I've never heard of it. And if it has, I've never heard about it making it there. What was the second question about Metal Injection?
Metal Injection and Octane. Yeah, it's not so uncommon, especially for metal bands.
I think I know. Okay, so you're talking about yeah. That's like internet radio type thing, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah, I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, I think that there's been a few songs that have made it on there, because that Metal Injections, they host like local stuff, and they'll have like a little bit of spotlight on local. So I think it's been on there once or twice. I don't know about the newer material with Blood of the Wolf, but the like older material, like with my old band Waking Chaos, I know that it was played on there a few times, not that many. But as far as the new bands, I don't think we've made it on there yet.
I'm going to have to look into that because I wasn't aware of those, but it's actually
I think there's a station called Sirius, or there was a station called Sirius Network. And basically what you do is like it connects via satellite, and it's a station, and then you can curtail it to play a specific genre of music for whatever you want. And then through there, they have different DJs that host more local, more underground type of music. And that's probably what she's mentioning on that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, because it's not uncommon to, unless it's a specific metal channel, it's not uncommon to not hear heavy metal bands and the different genres of heavy metal, which we'll get into in a second, on the radio. Right. It's just, but as for different genres, so that's very interesting. So that's how you started out, and with your first bands, and I definitely know how that is. I'm sorry, my brain just stopped for a second. I love when I do that on live radio.
No, it's all right. You're talking about the first bands, and where we both started, and you say you started with the piano, and I started with guitar.
Yes, definitely. You started with guitar and everything else like that. And one thing I wanted to bring up before we went much further, for the people that don't know about the different genres of metal, that it is more than just heavy metal. There's a whole bunch of different genres, such as Frank's different bands, and maybe he can explain to you the genres of both Blood of the Wolf and Asphyxiator, and what some of the basic genres are like. Could you maybe describe them for people that don't know?
Yeah, I would say that Asphyxiator is what we call brutal slam death metal. And basically, that's just a very extreme form of death metal. And there's going to be a lot of low tuning, a lot of harsher vocals, and the guitar is usually set to a very low tuning. and the drums are very, very fast, almost like a grind. If you don't know what a grind is, it's just a very, very fast grind on the snare, and then there's some very dramatic slow stops. So that's part of what it's called slam, so to speak. So there's like real fast and then some slow stomping type of changes. And Blood of the Wolf is more of, let's see how I can describe it, because it's not black metal. I want to say it's like blackened death metal. So it's like a form of death metal, but it's got melodic parts, it's got some fast parts, and then you can actually understand the dynamics of the drums within that band as opposed to Asphyxiator. So Asphyxiator is more extreme, harder, faster, with fast tempo changes, and then Blood of the Wolf is more on the slower. So if you heard the song "My Sword Is My Light and My Salvation," you can hear
that it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so you can hear there's a clean guitar in there, and then before it goes into the faster, more melodic pieces, like you wouldn't really hear that in Asphyxiator too much. Asphyxiator is just straight in your face type hard music, where Blood of the Wolf is more or less melodic, kind of takes you in slowly type of metal.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. I've got two here. I'll do Hazel first. It's shorter. Like Aerosmith. No, it's a lot heavier than Aerosmith.
Yeah, I think way.
It's. I wanted to be able to play it on air, but due to the constraints of Hangouts, and I'm trying to get OBS up and running so I can actually be able to do that. And right. I have a program. I haven't fully figured everything out, and then with some of the issues we've already had, I'm not testing Fate. Right, so I had hoped to possibly play some of the music for you guys, but definitely go check it out.
Check out the links in the description of the video. They can go right to it and check it out themselves, or they can even just stay on YouTube and then search Blood of the Wolf or Asphyxiator, and you'll be able to hear it right then and there and see what the differences are.
Yeah,
it's definitely an acquired taste. So if your idea of heavy metal is like Aerosmith, this might be like, whoa, it might hit you hard. You'll be like, whoa, I wasn't ready for that, but
yeah, it's definitely a different energy, and it can sound harsh if you're not used to it. But for those of us who do like it and are into it, and I've watched it grow on people. I had a friend in high school that was completely into hip hop, never listened to heavy metal, and she started out with Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath with me. And then I kept bringing her in more and more. And the energy that comes from this is absolutely fantastic. And Rachel Evolve, she says, does anyone remember a genre of heavy metal fans being called woodies? She says, because I was into heavy metal when I was in high school, and people used to call us woodies. Not sure what that meant.
Wow. No, that's a first.
That's a first on me too, Frank. Wow. No, Rachel. Huh.
What area? What area is she from?
Yeah. Rachel, I hate these chats because I can't use that. You can. We'll still be here. You can pause us and then listen, but then you'd have to bring yourself up to speed. When was that, Rachel? Hey, Natural Journey. Welcome. Oh, Hazel says, Rachel, take the phone with you to the potty. There you go. and I love it.
Hey,
Hazel actually put an emoji of the potty. So
that's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Yeah, Rachel, we won't know. We have no idea if you do that because we can't hear or see you. So
right, exactly.
So yeah, I would love to know. I've never heard of a woody. That's
a first. That's a first one. Yeah.
I've heard metalheads. I've even heard burnouts, which was really a misconception.
I've heard of burnouts before, yeah.
And that was always not always. There were people who were burnouts, but a lot of us.
It goes back to the whole idea of the whole generalization of metalheads, all of them doing drugs, which is not necessarily true,
Exactly. Yeah, we had a girl come in that was new to my high school, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I found the burnouts," and we all turned around and went, "Excuse me." Maybe you are, but my brain works fine.
Wow.
I'm not against a good party, but Jesus, I'm not burnt out. Good Lord. Angels Manga says she likes the band on your site. I love
I've
the
actually
bands
seen
on
her
your
come
site.
on and comment on a lot of those bands, which is surprising, you know, because I didn't think that, you know, that she might like it, but you know, it's good. It's cool. We want to introduce people to these different bands, and because they're normally not going to be able to hear it on the radio. So if you go to my channel, you get to see the bands that are from Chicago, who are very local, who they just do their style in that, you know, in those venues, and you probably won't be able to hear any of their stuff. And as a matter of fact, a lot of bands, if you go back through my list, because there's a lot of those bands usually just come and go. Like they're formed, and within a year, they're no longer. You know, so a lot of that stuff is like, you know, you're never gonna hear it again. And it just so happens if I'm there with my camera and I'm able to film it, and I can capture it, and then just kind of leave it there. It's kind of like an archival type of thing. So my channel for the very longest time has always been almost 90% concert footage. And that's how it started.
I love that.
Only recently have I started doing the type of things that are more like vlogging and more like for photo and more towards like camera gear, just to give it something more and something more interesting. And because I'm doing that, it kind of brings in all these different people who normally wouldn't listen to the music, and then they somehow stumble on the other videos that I have, and they're like, oh, hey, I kind of like this, you know. It's because it's something they wouldn't normally search out, but all of a sudden it's there and they can check it out.
Yeah, it just takes a click. It's right there. Rachel came back and she said she's from Brooklyn, New York, but went to school in Queens. John Adams.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I had not heard that. Blindly Honest said she started with The Used, went to My Chemical Romance. Whoa, and it just jumped on me. Hold on. There we go. It's back. I love when it jumps. That's just a fun thing. Thank you so much. Let's see. Yeah, oh, hold on. Good Lord. Okay. Okay, there we go. My Chemical Romance, and slowly delved into the harder stuff like Trivium, AFI, and then got into the older mature stuff like Metallica and GNR, which is Guns N' Roses for anybody who's not familiar with that.
Right.
Well, that's interesting. I come from the same, pretty much same thing as Frank does. My parents listened to the exact same thing. It sounds pretty much exactly parallel growing up.
Like Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin type of stuff. Yeah, that's all I heard when I was growing up. I had the vinyl records, and they would play the vinyl records. Yeah, so I was already like growing up listening to that style, which I really wouldn't. I don't even know what you would call Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin heavy metal. Well, what would you call? You call it like hard rock, I would think.
Yeah, they're like, I would, because they're not really, they're the precursor to it, but I would not call them heavy metal. I'd say more like, I guess, dark rock.
Right.
Something along those lines, because it is a little bit darker than, let's say, something like, oh, I don't know. Of course, I'm blanking out.
I think like,
actually, you know, my mom said that they used to call Led Zeppelin and stuff acid rock.
Acid rock, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, because she was into all that, and I just remember that was acid rock. I don't even know if Black Sabbath really fits into acid rock. But then that's a heavy metal fan such as myself. I think Frank and I could sit here and nitpick the parts about it.
Right.
But I'm not going to bore the hell out of you guys with it. So
yeah, I think like what you would call like heavy metal, or at least my first instance of that would be like Metallica or Iron Maiden would be like heavy metal. That's what I would consider, like, in a general sense, because there's a lot of bands that, you know, a lot of people don't really hear about. And there's thrash metal. Yeah, you can consider it like thrash metal, like Overkill, Testament.
Yeah,
a couple other bands like Testament. That. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
It just keeps going a little deeper and a little deeper. S2W Theme said he played. Oh, wait a second. This chat is driving me nuts today. Good Lord. I believe he said he played drums, but he didn't get to play guitar. And Blindly Honest said she grew up listening to country and Celine Dion. I hate country now. Yeah. Had to say, yeah. I learned to like some because I had a boyfriend who liked it, and I had the supreme joy of going to the concert that was not one band. It was a whole day down on the Camden waterfront. So,
oh boy, a full day of country.
And it rained the whole day, really hard. That was a day full of vodka, I will admit it.
Wow.
We had to numb it a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you.
But anyway, oh, Ammo Animation, thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma, for joining on the chat.
Yeah, let's see. Angel says, Planet, I like New Country or Dolly Parton. Well, Dolly Parton's a classic. She's an icon.
Yeah, classic. I can't believe she looks the way she looks now.
Isn't that it's amazing? I was like, holy crap, woman, what do you do? I mean, she's actually ancient, but she's perfectly preserved.
Like the fountain of youth. She found the fountain of youth.
Oh, Rachel says these chats are cool because they're actually kind of underground. And hey, young Byron, nice to see you. In a sense, they are, and that's one of the things that I love about Frank's channel is the fact that I'm in New York, and there's definitely a heavy metal underground here.
Oh, for sure.
But it's totally different in Chicago, and it's something that I wouldn't be able to see unless you go, because, like you said, these bands will form and they'll dissolve before much happens, and then they'll go into other bands and other things. So
here's another thing to note also as well. What I've noticed is like, because I went on tour as well. So what you see is like the sound of death metal in New York is slightly different than the sound of death metal in Chicago, slightly different than the sound of death metal in Wisconsin and Indiana. Yeah. It's really strange unless you're there witnessing and listening to it. You would think that, oh, that's all death metal or that's all brutal death metal, but actually each region has its own flavor of the death metal. Right.
It's almost like an accent.
Right, exactly.
People speak a little bit differently. You can hear the differences between it if it's something that you're used to listening to, and there is a different, like I said, I lived in Chicago right north of it for about 4 years and was very heavily into it at the time. And it's a huge difference. I'm going to go around a little bit of the music, and we're going to come back to it because I also want to bring up some of the neat stuff that you do. And we're coming back to the music, and we're going to discuss about dispelling the myths and whatnot, and having to talk about some of the people he knows in the Chicago Underground and his band and everything else. But I don't want to miss the fact about your photography and your camera reviews, because I can see it getting lost in the shuffle. Frank does some really awesome things that I really love, and I think you guys would be really interested in. Hey, Bubby, what's up? What's up? And Bon Galabon, Healthy Trails 199.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
So we're going to go back, and we're going to touch back in on the subject of heavy metal and Frank's music.
I turned on my fan too, so I'm not melting now. I turned it on I have it on 1, so it's not affecting the sound.
No, I can't hear it at all.
Good,
yes,
I'm glad.
Not melting. Awesome.
I haven't melted completely yet.
Nice. Oh, S2W Theme says Chicago is deep dish versus slice of pizza. Actually, yes. And so boy. S2W Themes,
Here we go with the pizza.
Because Chicago, for everyone who does not know, Chicago is known for a very different type of pizza than New York is known for.
Exactly.
And Chicago, it's a deep dish, different type of pizza, whereas New York, it tends to be, and they have both types, both places. But
right.
New Yorkers, it's the New York thinner sliced New York pizza. And having lived both places, yeah, there is a bit of rivalry over Chicago and New York's pizza. If you guys didn't know.
Ultimately, Chicago is #1.
I don't know where to go on that one because that's just both
you knew I was going to say that.
Yeah. Hey, Patsy, what's up? Nice to see you.
Thank you for joining the live chat with us.
Oh, Nathan likes drums. So Healthy Trails 199 says thumbs up for not melting. All right, so we have a debate here about pizza, Chicago versus New York. I have to say right now, actually, my favorite pizza in the world is a place in Santa Barbara, California. But my second favorite is on 51st Street near 5th Avenue in New York. So I don't know. Right now, I'm going to have to go on the New York side.
I guess I'm biased because I've never been to, well, I've been to New York only on tour, so I never got to go to the places, but I plan on it. Maybe I can meet up with the S2W teams and and
Oh,
have some
absolutely.
pizza
And
joints.
if you come out here, S2W Themes and I, because we're both right near me, and I'm just right
Awesome.
outside of New York.
Cool,
You've got
cool.
guides to take you around and everything else like that. Rachel Hall says New York pizza all the way. S2W Themes, he loves his deep dish, but he's a New Yorker, so.
Man, I'm gonna have to go with you guys, and you guys have to like treat me to some of the best pizza out there, so I can demystify the idea that I have in my mind.
Oh,
Chicago.
absolutely. We will show you all over the place. There's one
Awesome.
place in that I'm going to bring up. It has nothing to do with absolutely anything, but I had to bring it up because it's one of the oldest restaurants. I don't think they serve pizza in Chicago, but my family used to go there all the time. The Berghoff. Do you know that one, Frank? The Berghoff restaurant in Chicago?
I don't think so.
It's very fancy. They have the captains and everything else like that. It's just a fun little memory. My dad used to take us there. Supposedly, it's Chicago's oldest restaurant.
Oh wow!
But,
no, unfortunately, I don't. I know Giordano's father and son. A couple other ones now. They're just like skipping my mind, but Giorgio's. There's a couple other ones here, but
wasn't there like a numero uno, or
yes.
that was a long time? That's still around? I remember that place.
It does. Yep.
Yeah, I remember from living there. Oh, Blindly Honest said, what's the name of the pizza place in Santa Barbara? I can picture the owner. I've known him since I was a little girl. Pino's.
Oh, wow.
Pino's Restaurant Pizzeria. It's actually in Goleta, California, which is right outside of Santa Barbara. It's basically the same town, over by the Santa Barbara airport. So if you go to Santa Barbara, I believe it's on Hollister, go to Pino's Restaurant and Pizzeria. It's phenomenal. They go to Italy every year and get their stuff.
Maybe we can get them to sponsor You Stories, and they can have delivery when you have your You Stories for free. Some free slices.
That I would take New York, but from Santa Barbara, that would be a 3,000-mile pizza. They could fly it to me, though. I'll eat it. I'll take it. Yeah, I'm from there. I'm near New York now. But anyway, so we'll go back into it. We're going to get back into the music, but I definitely don't want to miss. Blindly Honest said she's got numero unos out there too. Yeah, when I was living in Chicago, numero unos was that's the thing people were talking about. Unos, numero unos, go there, go there, go there. Which when we first moved there.
Right.
Anyway, Frank has been doing something really neat. That is something I think is really cool. He's been going out on the streets of Chicago and taking candid pictures. Can you tell them a bit about that and the cameras you're using for it?
Okay, so I started this new series. It's called Candid Chicago Street Photography. So far, I'm on day 3, I believe. Yeah, I'm sorry, day 2. Day 3 is actually coming up at noon tomorrow. So if you guys want to visit my channel and check that out, it'll be day 3. And I'm actually on North Avenue Beach for that one. So you don't want to miss it. It's only like 4 minutes long, but you're going to get to see some different photos. So this is something I was doing before, but the way I was doing it was a little bit different. I was actually like taking the pictures and I would just make a slideshow and I would just put music to it, you know.
Right.
This time around with this series, I'm actually walking and then talking like a blog style, and I'm actually describing my settings and I'm describing what I'm thinking. So my process as far as what I'm doing. And at times I actually even put what I use is it's called the Yi 4K action camera. It's very tiny. Actually, let me see if I can grab it here real quick and I can show it to you guys.
Oh yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay, so here it is. See how tiny that is?
Wow.
Yeah, it's very tiny. So when you're seeing my vlogs this time around, this is what I'm using, and it's actually a very wide screen on it, and it's also stable. So when you see me walking, it's not too much shake or movement. So it's staying very stable, and it delivers.
Well, that's beneficial because when people do that, it makes me nauseous.
Yeah, I don't like it as well. I like the stabilization that this one, since it's a action camera, it's built in there and it works awesomely. So basically what I do is I don't have my DSLR, but I take my DSLR and I'm able to mount this right on top. So then I'm filming my vlog, and then I'm taking the picture. So you get to see as I'm actually taking that full shot. And it's worked out pretty well so far. So the response on it, since I met you and everybody else in the I Am a Creator community, everybody that's on there has been very responsive to it. And what I'm doing is I'm taking my Instagram and all the high resolution shots, I'm previewing them beforehand. So before the day is uploaded, the new one, you get to see all the pictures beforehand on Instagram. And on Instagram has been a very good response, and I'm very happy with it. And also what's happened since last year, I've actually am more conscious as to what I'm doing with my camera, and actually I've learned quite a little bit more. So the pictures are getting better and better and better. I have better composition. They're sharper. And I'm actually I've been studying quite a lot of photography as well. I've been reading books. So all that's coming together in one package. And so I'm trying to deliver that as well as information, because I know there's a lot of people out there who are interested in, I see quite a lot of people out there taking pictures with their phones as well too. I don't have a phone. I know it's shocking. I don't have a phone.
Oh yeah, this is something, guys, that I didn't tell you about him. Frank does not have a cell phone and says he never will, which I actually think is a really cool thing, because I take a lot of pictures with my cell phone just because of the camera and it's unobtrusive.
And don't get me wrong, the phone pictures are awesome these days. I mean, sooner or later I might cave in, but I do like my DSLR, and since I have a few of them, it's like I don't want to not use them. I want to use them.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a couple of questions from here, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about DSLRs too, because I'm in the market for one. Actually, a new computer has to come first, and then a new DSLR, because what's the point of having the camera if I can't process the pictures properly and the video? So let's see. I believe Blindly Honest, she was interested. She says her camera overheats if the camera that you have right there is expensive.
Are you talking about the camera that I'm filming this with?
I think the one in your hand.
No, actually, you know what? That little camera is $150, and it's awesome, and it shoots in 4K. So you can.
Whoa!
Yeah, and it's super stable. So actually, if you want to tell Blindly, look at my previous video of candid street photography day 2. She can see what it looks like, because that's the whole image beyond the photos that I'm taking. All that footage is from that little camera, and it's $150.
You gotta be kidding. I mean, I've seen it, and he does the neatest thing on there, because as he's taking the pictures, he tells you what f-stop, what exposure, and then he'll go and adjust it, tell you what's going on, what he did, and then the next picture. So it's really like you're going along with him on this candid camera, photography tour. It's really cool. You guys got to check it out. But so that would be something that Blindly Honest, she said no.
As to the question about, sorry.
She says, damn, that's a steal. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the question of overheating. That camera does not overheat. It'll get hot if you're recording for over 30 minutes. It'll get slightly hot, but for the most part, it doesn't. One thing I do gotta say though, I did take this camera out during the winter time when it was like 2 degrees outside, and the battery life in cold weather drains the battery quite a bit. So that's the only thing. If you're gonna go out in like 3-degree weather, which I don't think a lot of people would, maybe crazy people like me. The battery, you probably want to buy 2 or 3. But as far as overheating, like I was doing my candid street photography, we hit on Tuesday, we hit 80 degrees. I was filming. I never had a problem. It never shut down. It stayed going for, I think I filmed for a good 2 hours. Obviously in the video, I'm cutting down a lot of the dead space, so condensed down. But it actually, I just leave it on because you don't know. When you're doing street photography, there's a lot of like mystery, because you don't know what you're going to come up against, so you don't know if something's going to happen, if somebody's going to, so you got to kind of keep rolling. So when that moment happens, you're like, oh, there it is,
Right.
And it did not overheat. It stays working in fine condition. I've had it for almost 2 years now. And actually when I bought it, it was $200. So now the price has gone down to $150, and you probably can find them used on eBay for maybe even $100.
That's awesome. Healthy Trails brings up, actually, there's 2 things. Hazel wanted to know if it was a GoPro.
No, it's not a GoPro. No, it's from a Chinese manufacturer, I believe. But to be honest with you, I own a GoPro Hero 2, and the image from this camera is way better than the GoPro, to be honest with you.
Oh, wow. Good to know.
Yeah, and actually, I'm gonna take it out of the case because I was showing it to you, and I bought a case for it, so it's a protective case, so you can see the actual size. It's actually a lot smaller. So if you can see it,
Holy cow, it's tiny.
yeah, super
You
tiny.
can fit that in, like, you can put it in your pocket easily.
You can easily put it in your pocket.
Wow, because I have a really small Canon camera that a power shot.
Okay.
That, and it's an amazingly good camera, and you can manually control everything. I think it's about 12 megapixels. And the only thing is the door, the battery door, I have to tape it on.
Oh, right.
Because it's got the plastic, and it finally broke. And if the door isn't engaged, it won't turn on. So I just keep Scotch taping it.
So basically, the camera uses a micro SD card.
Right, right.
See if I can take it out and show it to you what it looks like. It's very tiny.
Yeah, that's what my cell phone uses.
Yeah, so it's very tiny. And then the battery.
And how many gigs? How many gigs of the card will it take?
The one I have in here is 32 gig SD card.
Mm-hmm.
So you can film it for several hours actually.
That's a lot. Because I know some of them have an upper end of what they will take for the micro SDs.
Right.
But that's 32 gigs is a lot of footage.
Yeah, let me make sure. Yeah, 32 gigs. It's a Lexar 1000 time micro SD HC class 2. Oh, just so you guys know out there, if you're going to be filming 4K, you need a high-speed SD card, just so you guys know out there. Because if you don't, usually the cameras don't work great with those smaller SD cards. Just make sure you use a high-speed SD card and make sure that it says on there it supports high-definition 4K video. Otherwise, you're going to have some issues.
That's an excellent point, because I have 128 micro SD card in my phone, which is massive, but I also film a lot of video footage on it.
Okay.
So I call it this is my little magic box. It's a Samsung Note 8, and it's got you can go into like DSLR mode, so you have controls. I actually tend to use an app called Open Camera when I'm filming. Oh, okay. Because it gives you even more control.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that you brought up 4K, because Healthy Trails says we choose not to buy a 4K camera because most of our audience watches on mobile devices.
Right.
And they said, is it really worth the money for your audience?
Right. Well, here's another thing too that I should mention, just because I use that 4K word. Actually, when I'm filming on the E camera, I have it turned down to 2K, which is just slightly above 1080. Just a little bit above, so it's definitely not full 4K. And they're right. If you're going to be doing video in 4K, a lot of the times to see a 4K image, you need a 4K monitor. And honestly, a lot of people don't have that, or even a laptop 4K monitor. They're expensive right now. So
yeah, I don't. But I can film, and I realize when I film, a lot of the time I do film in it. I'll film in that, and then I'm like, wait, so. Sorry, excuse me. My voice just went for a second. When I export it, I'll often drop it down a level or two, since it's going on. I mean, my phone can see it because it's optimized for that. It's also one of the top phones on the market. So,
and here's another thing for you guys, if you're streaming, just so you know, like personally, the issue I had with my previous stream when it was all really choppy, I was actually going out at 1080 through the HDMI capture device, and it was really messing with my browser. So I actually dropped down to 720, and as you can see, me and Lady Borgia have been on for quite some time now, and it's been going pretty smoothly. So dropping down, especially if you're just doing like this, just talking, it's fine. You don't need to be at 1080. I mean, I'm sure if you got a better PC out there, it's no problem. But for me, my laptop, it was having a hard time handling, and it would just chop up. So I actually streaming at 720 for this.
Yeah, that's what I had to do too. Because are you doing an OBS?
No OBS. Here's another thing too. If I open up OBS, I can't go on the Hangouts. I don't know why. So what I had to do was just not use OBS at all, and just connect all my peripherals, and then just go on the Google Hangout and then go on the settings and just tell Google Hangouts that I'm using this DSLR and then the mic for it to work. So there's no OBS streaming on here right now.
Right. Yeah, because there's supposedly a way to do OBS with Hangouts, and I'm figuring it out. But
if you learn how to, let me know, because I was like, oh, that sucks. Because sometimes I want to bring in like a photo or have some extra text on, you know, just a little bit more. And you know, I was like, oh, I can't do it now.
Yeah, it's something I'm looking into, and I know somebody else is looking into it too. And as soon as it's figured out, I will absolutely share it with you, because the whole OBS thing and then Hangouts and whatnot, it's a bit tricky, but I hear once you get it, then you got it. So I will be sharing that. Let's see. Awesome. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I've done too to stop mine from buffering so much and having problems. Is I dropped it down to 720, and I got the new camera, and so the picture is clear. It's not as clear. I still do get some buffering sometimes, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Let's see. Oh, and S2W Themes says, he says, Artimorbid, OBS is a third-party app that allows it.
Oh,
well,
okay.
If you know about that, and so please tell us.
Oh, here's a question for Enzo too, and see, because actually it was through him that I realized when I connected my Canon T3i through the HDMI on my screen, I still got all the information on the camera as far as like the f-stop and whatnot, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of that. Eventually it goes away, but then that focus square doesn't go away. It stays on there. So it looks really silly, and I'm like, where do I put this square now? Because it's a focusing square on the Canon T3i. So therefore, I decided not to use Canon T3i, and I went with Panasonic GH2, so is what you're seeing this through. So if he knows how to get rid of that focus, because I know he was using Canon T3i to go through OBS when he was doing his streaming. That's how I learned about using Canon to stream. So it'll be interesting if he knows how to do that.
He said, oh, hey, Stephanie Cardinal, thank you for coming. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
And S2W Themes, he says, oh, there it is. He says when he gets home, he'll get the name of it. And so if you could come back and drop it in the comments, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be cool. Because honestly, the Canon, my T3i looks really awesome, except for that part that I can't get rid of the focusing square.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that before we went on air, and that's kind of a problem. That's not something that you want there.
Right.
So, Rachel says this chat is lit. That's right, honey. We have a good time on you.
Yeah, it's so lit that I'm melting. I turned the fan on, so maybe you can do hashtag melting Frank.
Hashtag melting Frank. Yeah, guys, tweet it out there. Hashtag melting Frank. Seriously. I'm the crappiest typer, so I'll be sitting here. You guys will be watching me try to type because I'm just horrific at it. But please tweet out hashtag melting Frank, please. Oh, I've got some questions for you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm still laughing.
All right.
No, go for it. We laugh a lot on this show. It's perfectly acceptable. The more, the better. Let's see. I've got two here. Questions for you. Blindly honest, and I'll give them to you both. Well, actually, let me read this. WrestleMania says he uses OBS on his live streams. The first 2 streams, he showed his setup within the streams. Okay, WrestleMania, WrestlerMania. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to check that out. If you could come back and drop in the comments the title of those, so we know which ones we're looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be fantastic. I would be so thankful because
that would be cool.
Yeah, both Frank and I think some other people here too. That would be great. So please, WrestlerMania, let me not butcher your name. Please come back and drop that in the comments once this is processed, because it would help tremendously. And Blindly honestly wants to know from you, is there a way to stream off your Canon?
Is there a way to stream? Say that again.
Is there a way to live stream off your Canon?
Off the Canon? Yeah, there is. Without OBS or with OBS?
I'm not sure. She doesn't ask. I'm going to assume.
Okay.
Oh, Bon Galabon, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you,
enjoy
Bon.
your dinner. Bye-bye.
Smart. Anyway, sorry. There is a way to stream to the Canon. You have to use the EOS utility app. So basically, if you have a Canon, she should have a disc that comes with the Canon. It's called the EOS utility, and you have to install that. And what happens is that you tether your Canon through the USB. Canon, depending on which Canon you have, it should have a USB out, and using EOS utility, it lets you tether the camera, and basically you go on live view through the EOS utility, and then you're able to use it as your streaming camera, like a webcam, basically.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I mean, I like the S2W Themes is saying the EOS utilities.
Right. That's who I learned from, actually. So he can they can chat on the chat and ask each other, because he's the one that showed me how to do it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. I mean, I use for streaming, I use a Logitech C920, and it's about $50. Angel told me about it, and a couple other people, and it has a built-in mic that is. I really didn't think I was going to use it for streaming. I thought I was going to use my other mic, and it turned out to be clear enough and block out the sound of my air conditioner that's what I'm awesome. Running now. So
you sound really good, and the picture looks pretty clear to me, So hey, I've seen that camera being used before, and I've seriously thought about it, but at the same time, it's like I have all these DSLRs that,
Right. And if you're gonna buy some, I'm in the same thing. If I have something that works that I can use, I won't buy something else. But the funny thing is too, with the Logitech C920. The picture is even better when it's not being run through YouTube. This is actually a degraded picture.
Right.
When you look at it, when we're just in Hangouts, well, actually, you are seeing. Yeah, actually, you're seeing the clear picture. What everybody's seeing on YouTube is a little bit degraded because YouTube degrades it. Even if I drop it down, I can only get it so good. Yeah, but
they call it the ingestion or whatever they call it of the signal or whatever that is.
Exactly, and it's something that I'm still working on, because supposedly there's. I mean, as you can see, it's a beautiful camera.
But does it? Sorry to interrupt you, but do you know if that pixelation comes back after it's been archived? Have you gone back to like your streams and checked it out and seeing if the resolution comes back? Do they bring that back, or is it just during the live stream?
I think I'm pretty sure it's during both. It seems to get a little bit better. In fact, I can look at it now very quickly while we're talking.
Sure.
Sometimes it seems like it's a little bit better. My computer's slow right now. There we go. In fact, I'm going to just look really quick on one of my channels. I'll mute it.
Sure.
On one of my channels. On my channel at one of my videos. Yeah, I got time for multiple channels. I already do 18 things on this channel, but hey, let's open up a few more channels, and I'll just never go to sleep.
Who needs sleep?
Who needs sleep? Forget that. That's actually a really good question that I am curious about.
It just came to me when we were talking. I was like, well, I wonder if it does come back.
That's a good point, because it's definitely better than because originally what I was doing is I was running my live streams when I was by myself through my phone, because my phone's picture is beautiful.
Right.
But YouTube, since you're running it through the app, it's actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's not as perfect as you see in Hangouts, but it's not as degraded. The playback.
Okay. So they do bring it back a little bit.
A little bit, not fully, but it's a little bit better. Actually, great question, and I'm glad I checked that out.
Cool.
Let me make sure I stopped that, because I don't want that running at the same time and dragging my computer down.
No problem.
There we go. Oh, there's my chat. Hello. Here we go. I'm right on the page now. Frank's image is great, but Lady Borgia is a bit distorted. Yeah, I'm still working on it, because I was using my laptop camera, and it's atrocious. And I had to use it the first episode. And it bothered me so much because I actually did special artistic makeup for the first episode and for Angel's birthday. And then the playback, I see it. It looks like I have 2 turquoise smears on my eyelids. And that's about it. And I'm like, wait, I went to all this effort and my footage looks that crappy. And that was the end of that. I was like, okay, I'm buying that other camera. But yeah, your picture actually comes across clearer than mine does on the playback. But I'm still working on it. There's got to be something else.
Here's something to note as well. I'm also using DSLR Tokina lens. It's a 24 millimeter. It's a vintage lens, and it's a 1.4. So I don't know if people know what that is, but I have it wide open. So it's giving me this like photographic image. Then it's running through the HDMI signal, and not only that, I also have a special profile that I'm running on top of that. That's why you see the black and white.
Yeah.
I'm running a special profile on top of that is in the camera settings. So that's why it looks. So there's a lot going on. Even my voice. When you hear my voice, like if I had my webcam and it would be horrible. I'm sure people would be like, "This is terrible." Like, is this guy in a cave? You know. But because I'm running the DSLR camera with a special lens, I'm running this mic, and it's actually going into a program called Line 6 Pod Farm, and it has equalization, it has a 4-band EQ, it has a compressor, it has all these settings that I actually got from a guy who does a gaming channel. So I'm getting all these different things all going on at once through the stream, and that's why it looks the way it looks.
Okay, that definitely explains a lot. I do not have all that going. Eventually, you will see me doing it, but Frank is a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to some of this stuff here. And
guys out there,
I'm coming up, but it's definitely all learnable, guys. The amount that I have learned.
Feel free to go to my channel, and if you go on my videos and you comment, ask me anything. I'm willing to help. I love helping people out. As far as like camera gear and all that's concerned, I'll show you, just like SW Teams showed me, and he was kind enough to be like, "This is what you do," and he went step by step. I'm willing to do that for you guys as well. If you want to learn how to do it, just ask me, and I'll be happy to teach you guys how to set all this up, so you guys can have awesome streams as well. Because I know that's it, you know, that's what I want to do.
That is awesome. That is the applause for you, because I definitely will be taking you up on that. And that's what I tell people as well. Anything I can help you with, I would love to help you with. This probably isn't it yet, but as I get going, my picture and sound will get better and better and better and better. But yeah, it's definitely something you got to play with, and he's got it running through multiple things.
Yeah, there's multiple things happening. A lot of wires that you don't see right now that are going through, and that's probably why my computer crashed earlier on.
Yeah,
but I wanted to have it a nice quality for your interview. I didn't want it to be on the webcam, you know, that's for sure. I wanted it to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I definitely wanted it to look, you know, as best as I possibly could get it.
Awesome. Well, Hazel says, people are saying thank you, and thank you for the clarification. Halos and Heathen said he had to run, but Frank rocks.
Cool. Thank you very much, Halos. I appreciate you joining us.
And Devin Channel, hey, welcome. I've not seen you before, but definitely, please come one, come all. We are very friendly, and I always like to tell people, it doesn't matter if you're a creator, a watcher, or whatnot, welcome, come. And that's why I started telling people, instead of I'm a creator events, I call them creator and watcher events, because I was like, you know what? There's a whole area of people that just watch that I'm kind of cutting out.
I noticed that there's a lot of people who are watching who don't have any videos up at all, but they're constantly on the chats and they're constantly providing feedback, you know, and that's totally cool, you know, because I understand it's like, so like what me and Lady Borgia do, this is not an easy thing for a lot of some of us who do it have been doing it for quite a while. And we feel comfortable. But to be honest with you, when I first started, I was stumbling through my words, and you like stare at the lens and you're like, I don't even know what to say. And you freeze and you get that stage fright, you know. So a lot of people can't get over that, but they love watching and they will eventually like to participate. But it's a hurdle. This is a confidence that doesn't come overnight. This is a confidence you build over time. So this is definitely not the first time me speaking on camera. And I think it helps the fact that, like, being a musician and having done interviews in my past, that's how helps me be able to do this. But for other people, it's a very difficult thing.
Yeah, Yeah, I've seen people go on for the first time, and they get stuck because they're like, but I'm just talking to nothing. And if you're not used to performing or talking in front of people, like Frank, I've been performing since I was a kid with piano and ballet and other things like that. So it comes much easier. But Blindly Honest, she says, she's laughing. She says, if you watch my first video, I am stumbling and mumbling. I'm so shy. But and S2WC says, excellent advice, Frank. So
and so here's another thing too that I noticed when you had a Wonder Music on, and he was you could tell he was nervous at first, so for you guys that are live streaming, always be thinking of the rebroadcast. Think of the broadcast. So you want to be on, don't worry about that live chat, don't even pay attention, just start it off right away. Just be like, hey guys, what's up? Here we are, let's chat, let's get into it. Let me tell you. And what also helps too is having a list of the topics that you want to speak on and focus in on that, and then make that delivery and speak on it, talk about it, make your notes so you're not drifting. And then, depending on what your speech is going to be about, always pretend that there's 1,000 people watching. Because if you notice on the long run, even on short streams, after a while, they start stacking up on views. So those 20 or 100 people eventually are going to see that. So you want to keep it pretending like they're already there, even though there's nobody in the chat or you see 0 there. I'm telling you that because that's the same problem I had with my first live stream. It was 0 for like 10 minutes. And I was like, what should I say? And I go back and look at it. I'm like, man, there's just a lot of dead air. So basically your viewers are going to see all that dead air,
Yeah.
You want to come at it just like you do a normal YouTube video. When you get right into it, you start speaking, you get right to the topics, you speak the meat of your subject, and then you close it.
Exactly, because that's one of the things, and I tell people who are coming on News Stories, if you're not comfortable, don't worry, I'm here to take care of you. Because one of the biggest things you do not want in a video or a broadcast or something that's going to be played back as video is dead air.
Right.
Dead air is your enemy.
Right. And you want to keep things moving, because that's what people are engaging you, and you got to keep on talking and speaking, and that way you don't look like you're a complete amateur. You're ready to deliver something. And I think for me, that's helped me out a lot. So if you notice, when I do my streams, just like you do, you're very focused. You say, this week I'm interviewing this and such person at this such and such time. You do your research on that person, and then you deliver the broadcast, and I think I see a lot of people on their streams, especially, people who are not prepared. They just go on. It's like, oh, is anybody here? And then they sit there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, and then they cut it off. And then not only that, then they keep it, they archive it. And it's like, for what? To say, hey, is there anybody there? It's like, you got to think of it more of like, just like you do, like Lady Borgia, it's a show. People are watching the show, That's
what I've done. And seriously, if you do need notes, a lot of the time, Lady Borgia Live, I go on without notes, but I have in my head what I want to say, and I've also done a fair amount of public speaking. So, but for this, when I have everybody on, like, here you go, I do have notes, guys. I glance at them just so there's certain things that I don't forget, especially when I'm doing news stories, since there is pre-production to it. There are interview shows where people just jump on and they do it on the fly and everything else like that. But this show, it's a little bit more planned out. But Angel says that she wants to tell Frank, she says to tell you great advice. And she says she is a proud amateur. Angel, you are not an amateur at live stream.
Yeah, I was saying.
I hate to tell you, honey, you're not.
Every time I've seen Angel's videos and even live stream, she is very engaging. She knows what she wants to speak about. And she knows how to talk, you know what I mean? And now I can see that she's also a great author just by reading the first few pages of her book, which is, you guys have to get her book, go to her channel, go to that link, buy her book. It's only $15. What's $15? Go check it out. It's definitely awesome. Like I said, I don't want to say that I'm a complete spiritual person, but even just reading the first few pages of her book, it's enlightening. And it's the way it comes across so far. I haven't read the whole thing. It's actually made me feel better about reading. And I was like, wow, this is actually
cool. Awesome.
So you guys out there in the chat, just get the book and check it out.
Yeah, definitely go check Angel's channel and check out the first episode of the show. You may not want to watch the whole thing because we ended up accidentally doing a half marathon of 4.5 hours.
Yeah,
but,
the birthday show.
Yeah, that was the birthday.
See, and even that's a good example. I couldn't watch it. I was at work, but I watched the rebroadcast of that, and it was awesome.
Thank you so much. We just went. In fact, Angel's going to be returning as a guest because there was just so much to talk about that we just kind of let it fly on the first episode. But and that's another thing. If you are doing a live stream, just a bit of advice, and you're newer to it, you don't have to go on for an hour or 2 hours. You can make it a shorter, a 5-minute thing or a 10-minute thing as you get used to it, and then work your way up. You don't have to just jump on like I did and do a 2 hours. My first live stream was a 2-hour story. But then again, I also had a story people were asking me to tell. So it made it a lot easier. Let's see. Blindly Honest says she knows her live stream from Friday had a lot of dead air because she got distracted by her phone. Well, what the thing is, practicing is great, and you can always keep those streams, and if you want to, just make them private.
Right.
That's one thing you can do. And S2W Theme says his reason why he doesn't do many live streams, although he is going to be on YouStories soon, is because he talks a lot and he doesn't want to bore the hell out of you guys. Well, you know what? My answer for that, and I think Frank will agree with me, is interact with your audience. Right. And so if you're just talking at someone, bounce in and out of the chat. And you've seen while we're doing this, people that aren't used to YouStories, I warn them in the first place. In a traditional interview setting, you would do the interview, and then towards the end, you would open it up for questions. And in this format, you really can't work it that way because people bounce in and out of live streams, unlike a televised show. So it's not a captive audience. Right. It's not even like a radio audience. Exactly.
Yeah, different checking out different things as well too, so they're going back and forth and and whatnot. But as far as to answer S2W themes, you are very knowledgeable and you do know stuff, because I can tell by your camera work and your editing. So if you're afraid of boring people, you're not boring people, because people are interested. It's just like I was interested in knowing how to use my Canon to stream. I wanted to hear that. I got that from you. So you can actually like work around the subject of cameras and how you do your setups and elaborate on that, because that's something you know about. And then just talk about it, because you'd be surprised, because sometimes we get lost in our own selves and we think like, since I know that, then everybody else must know that. So that's boring. But that's not true, because a lot of people don't know that. And you don't realize that. It's like a lot of people don't know that. And you can't be like, I'm going to be boring because you don't know that. There's a lot of people out there who don't know about OBS, who don't know about DSLRs, who don't know about lenses, who don't know about public speaking like Lady Borgia, and who are watching because they want to learn.
Exactly.
So you can take those subjects and be like, okay, what will make that interesting? Just like me, I said, well, you know what? Let me go back to my street photography, and let me talk about that. Let me elaborate on that, and never be afraid of putting yourself out there. I know that's a hard thing to do, because it's, sometimes a lot of people, sometimes your peers, your friends and family even will be like, oh, why are you wasting your time? Or why are you doing that? Like, listen to yourself first, and listen to your passion and your heart first. Yes. And go with that. Go with what makes you happy, and then just put yourself out there, because people are going to say bad things anyways. So what you want to do is put yourself out there, and then focus on the ones that are giving you positive feedback, and then, show them and teach them, and don't worry about the other people. Like I said, sometimes your family or even people who don't know how to do it will often go in the negative side and be like, well, don't do that. You're wasting your time. Or you don't know what you're talking about. All those negative things, because they don't know themselves.
Exactly.
You want to kill them with success. You want to go out there and you're going to put it out there. And, you also teaching yourself.
Always. I love that term. That is my philosophy too. Kill them with success. No matter what naysayers say, you go and you do what you're passionate about, and just keep going regardless.
Yep.
Keep at it. And by the way, S2W Themes, since you're going to be a guest on here, one of the best ways to get started is start off, you know, I'm going to schedule you very soon. He's one of the next people coming up. We've got Blindly Honest on Monday. The week after that, we have the Wondering Naps. The schedule is in the description box. I try to keep it updated. I'm going to have to erase a few things to keep it going that way so you guys know who's coming up. But, you know, start out and I can ask you things when you come on YouStories, and, you know, you get a little warm up doing that with somebody who's used to doing it. And then I think you'll be off and running because you've got a lot of really good information.
Yep. I'll be watching for sure.
Let's see. He said, S2W seems, since you like to talk, you should do some interviews or news. He's got so much stuff to talk about. I can't wait until he's on because I'm going to be picking his brain like crazy. And then, like I said, once you are on here, I think, you know, go ahead, take off. You get used to it. There's one thing that I do want to tell people about when you're doing a live stream and you have a guest, just to warn you of it, is you are going to wear about 8 hats at a time. Because you're going to be your voice, you're going to be the voice of the interviewer, you're going to be the voice of the audience because the audience can't speak for themselves. You have to say it out loud for them for a lot of it. And then you're also listening and typing at the same time. So a lot of the time it's easier to be a guest first. And then if you're going to run an interview show, that's fantastic. But I would suggest doing it on your own first and then maybe being a guest and seeing what it's like on the other side. And then you've got a little bit of practice. So when you do jump on with the guest, you're like, oh, okay, I expect that. Because I've had a couple people say to me, oh, my God, that's so weird. You can't see the audience. And I said, nope, you can't. You can see their words. And often a guest can't even, like Frank right now and some of my other guests can't see. So it's just a little something to get used to. But it comes really, really fast. It's just a different medium. S2W says, you guys are so flattering. Love it.
Well, thank you. We want to help everybody out so we can form a good, tight community, you know, and everybody on here, you know, some way or another knows each other. You know, I've been following you guys for a long time. I've been following Borgia for a long time, you know, so it feels good. It doesn't even feel weird or strange to be talking, you know, because I feel like, well, I follow you guys' videos, I follow Angel, S2W Teens, Bond, Caliban, Roll With It, C's, you know, there's so many.
Yes.
And you know, and it's ongoing support, you know, and that's the main thing. It's to be ongoing support. It's not like we're just here like, hey, you know, like we're just going to check out one video and we're moving on. As I feel like we all know each other. We're on Twitter, retweeting each other's videos. You know, we're engaging and we're talking about it. And I think that's a very important thing as a community to build that, you know, and that's how you can grow. And we bring each other up, you know, just like S2W thing saying that it's boring. And I'm like, I beg to differ. You're not boring at all.
No,
I love watching all your content. It's awesome. It's very inspiring.
I have no idea how you think you're boring, but sometimes people think they are. I don't think you're boring at all. You've got so many things to say, and I love all your videos. And it makes it really cool, too, because when you've seen all this and you get to talk to somebody for the first time, and this has happened with a lot of people that I pre-interview, and I find that you get to talk face-to-face. That's why I like to do video chats first. Is you end up talking for a couple hours because it's like, oh, wow, you finally get to talk back and forth. So it is really fun doing interviews with people.
It is, yep.
But, oh, and don't miss, I know I brought it up a couple times, but Frank does an interview with Lilith Nova. They actually interview each other. One is on Lilith Nova's Peculiar Occurrences channel. I said it for once. I can say peculiar. But for some reason, when I say Lilith Nova Peculiar Occurrence, yes, I got it.
Congratulations. It's a first.
Seriously, I tried to say it 2 weeks in a row, and I'm like, why can't I say this? Because
I know, it's a tough thing.
It's all at once a tongue twister.
It took me a while to learn it, too, you know, so that's why I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the fact that I couldn't, you know, pronounce it either, you know, so I had to, you know, remember, I know that she did it. She decided to call that show because Peculiar Occurrences because it wasn't taken. Like she had a bunch of different names and she wanted to make it as original as possible. And that's why she picked that name. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was actually my first taste of like interview type thing, even though it wasn't live like this is, you know, that was my first taste of it. That was fun to do.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that that was. It's actually really good, guys. I told you about it, I believe, Monday and then I think Wednesday. Yeah, because I ended up having back-to-back Lady Borgia lives and because of the scheduling. But definitely check it out and check it out on Little Nova's channel. I also follow her and it's really cool. Yeah, Hazel saying, yes, it's a brotherhood. And let's see, we're so bad. Oh, in the YouTube world, well, there's a lot of love going on in the chat to sum it up, but I'm going to bring it back around now, unless anybody has any more questions about live streaming. Definitely, anybody who's got information, please come and drop it in the comments afterwards, because we would love to know. I'm going to bring it back around to some of the music, because I don't know if you guys realize, but we've already been in for an hour and a half, which is like, boom. Yeah, Frank, it's just flying.
That's great. Even though we had technical difficulties.
Seriously.
Well, I did.
It was so brief, though. You managed to get back on really fast. It was no big deal. And that's the other thing, guys. Stuff like that is going to happen when you go live. Just keep rolling. And that's one thing as a musician and a performer, and I think Frank agrees, stuff goes wrong when you perform live. It's going to happen. Just keep going. It doesn't matter. The
show must go on.
Exactly. In fact, I want to ask you, since we're rolling back into the music.
Sure.
When you've been performing live, what is one of like the funniest or oddest things that happened to you during a live performance, or have you not had something huge happen?
Well, I can tell you that back in 97, I fell on my face. I wasn't hurt.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So, okay, so what happened was we were performing at a place called the Gateway Theater, and the drummer during the last song, he wanted to throw his stick out, to the audience. You see it 100 times, So what ended up happening is he throws the stick, right? And it doesn't go into the audience. It just makes it to the edge of the stage. So what I do, now is back, it's a whole different thing, but I don't drink anymore. I used to drink. Back in my drinking days, I was drunk, and I'm like, oh, there goes the stick. It didn't make it, but I'm going to go run after it and pick it up and then throw it into the audience. Well, I'm so drunk that I don't realize the monitors are right in front of me. So I go running full force, and bam, I go over the monitor with my guitar and everything. And everybody just starts laughing, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to at all. And I don't know if people got pictures of that or what, but it was I was like, yeah, this is terrible. I mean, I got back up and I didn't break my guitar or nothing, but I was like, this is very embarrassing.
Oh my God. Yeah, you guys have to understand, when you're performing up on a stage, there's monitor. Hey, Amy K Makeup, thank you for coming.
Thank you for joining us on the live chat.
When you're performing on stage, so you can actually, when you're especially in a big place, but any place, you have monitors so you can actually hear what you're playing and doing.
Right.
Otherwise, you can't hear yourself because it's so loud.
Right.
And they're often, especially in smaller venues, they're up at the front of the stage. They're elsewhere when you have earpieces and stuff like that when you get into major coliseums and stuff like that. But oh, Wrestler Mania, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for the good show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, and Wrestler, could you please, when you get the chance, come back and drop that information into the comments that we were talking about earlier. I would be so appreciative of that. But yeah, there's these monitors because otherwise you can't hear what's going on. So that just that's the fact that you flew over them and landed. That's incredible.
That was bad.
That you did not break your guitar is incredible.
It stayed intact. I mean, I did have to retune it, but for the most part, and I didn't hurt myself. It was, you just tripped. It was more or less my ego was hurt because I was attempting to do something cool, which if the monitor wasn't there, it would have been just fine. But nope.
Oh my goodness. There you go.
And see, that's exclusive to You Stories because no one has ever heard that story.
And we've got another exclusive. All right, you are twice now in the Hall of Fame for You Story. Lady Borgia gets interesting things out of it.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't mind talking about it. I like to show that I'm human I do things, you know, and it happens even as a performer.
It does. It absolutely does. So there you guys go. If you're new to live streaming and you get a little worried about something going wrong, your computer lags, it's not possibly as the same thing. Frank's already got you beat. He's fallen on his face in a live performance. So unless you fall on your computer or do something like that, God forbid, think of Frank and it'll make you laugh. Because thank God he was not hurt. But, you know, right there, it's like thinking of people in their underpants. I think this one is way better.
Yeah, and it was the show. It was our CD release party. So we had close to 200 people. So around 200 people saw me fall.
Oh, Jesus.
A lot of them were my high school friends. So, you know, I had to hear about it, you know, for a couple of years afterwards as well.
I bet you did. I mean, that's a hell of a good story, especially the fact that you didn't get hurt. But I mean, I've seen a million musicians do that. Drummers throw drumsticks all the time, and if they don't make it, the guitarist will scoop it up and shout, you know.
Exactly.
I actually had, and speaking of a drum, I had a really cool thing happen with the drumstick with Iron Maiden.
Oh, wow.
I was front row for Maiden, and that was one of my favorite bands.
What year was it, if you don't mind telling?
Oh, geez. I'm trying to think. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and look it up, but it was in the 90s.
Wow, that's awesome.
But what happened was I went, and I think it was around one of my birthdays. I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it was. Anyway, so Steve Harris, who's the bassist, big guy, big long hair, he's a fantastic bassist. He kept coming over and playing to me. And I was in the front row. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Steve Harris is like playing down to me. Rock on.
Oh, yeah.
And for people who don't know Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson. Yes. Rachel Evolve knows Aces High. Die with your boots on. Yes. Die with your boots on is one of my favorite songs. My two favorite Maiden songs are Run to the Hills and Die with your boots on.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. So he runs over, and Nico McBrain, the drummer, he's drumming away. Steve Harris runs over, gets a drumstick from him, runs back over, and handed it down to me.
Wow.
And I was like, holy crap. I mean, I'm not usually starstruck, but this is like my favorite band at the time.
Did you keep the drumstick?
Oh, hell yeah. I still have it.
Awesome.
I would never get rid of that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I didn't know. I was like, Jesus, what do I do with it? Like, I don't want somebody's like, quick, stick it down your jeans, down your leg, before somebody, like, you know, before there's a stage rush and somebody tries to take. Exactly. And I was, so there I am, front row, jamming a drumstick down the leg of my pants.
It's a good thing they didn't say put it down your shirt. Then you'd be in trouble.
Jesus. That would have been a very odd look. But so there I am walking around like the Tin Man, because one leg has to stay partially straight because of this damn drumstick. But I was, hell no. Not only did I get a drumstick, which is cool when they throw, I mean, I have picks and stuff like that. The Kiss is thrown out. And, you know, various people, I keep them in like a little thing in my jewelry armoire, like a little box.
Yeah.
But that was the best. Not only did I get the drumstick, but it was literally, he went over and handed it to me.
That's awesome.
Now, afterwards, I did get asked to go backstage, and I declined because for the reason why the photographer said to me, she said, well, you've been asked to go backstage. I said, oh, cool. And she's like, but you can cover your face. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I didn't get that either. And I said, why do I have to cover my face? And she's like, oh, you know, for the pictures. And I'm like, pictures? And then I caught on. I don't know if she said the band requested me backstage. Well, apparently what she wanted to do was do some of the pictures where the girls like flash and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, the band, and I was like, did the band ask for that? She's like, no, but I want you to do that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
What in the world? And this is a female photographer asking you to do that?
Yeah. And it was one that I've actually used to see her around at New Haven Coliseum a lot, because I used to go to a lot of concerts at Hertford Civic Center and New Haven Coliseum. So you get to know some of the photographers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, Yeah, if you want to take my picture, it involves covering my face but showing other parts. And
That's terrible.
I think I was a teenager. I wasn't,
Oh my God.
I was not old enough to drink. I don't even know if I was old enough to drive a car. And
Wow.
I'm like, I'm gonna pass on meeting my favorite band.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very nice.
Although, thank you, Iron Maiden, for asking for me to come back. God knows if y'all ever hear this, thank you. I love you, but had to pass. Wasn't gonna flash. But I don't know what the hell. Somebody said you should have just gone. And in hindsight, I probably should have just gone and told her, forget you. You're not even the one who asked me to go back.
Right.
Because people did see Steve Harris go over to the side, and then people pointing at me. They're pointing at you from backstage, and I was like,
wow,
okay, whatever. So I don't know what I did, but apparently, I don't know. He was my buddy for the night, which is just really cool.
It is cool.
So that's one of my favorite things. Angel Down, Lady Borgia would have flashed the world. Yeah. I'll do a lot of things, and I'm real straightforward, but I'm going to have to pass on flashing the world.
That's a good story, actually. That's a really good story. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was one of those, when you said the drumstick, I thought of it. Right. I was like, I got to tell this story. So
you never know what kind of stories you're going to get when you do live streams. You get all kinds of stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is so much. That's one of the reasons I love this show, is because I started telling my stories on live stream rather than on video, because I was like, well, wait a second, nobody can ask anything.
Right.
And people wanted to know about my hair and about how I survived an explosion, because I was picked up and thrown 10 feet into a wall in an oven explosion. I think you were there for part of that story.
Yeah,
and anybody who wasn't,
check it out.
Yeah, it's still on there. You guys can go back and see it. But it's really cool because people can interact when you're telling a story, and it makes a lot of fun. That's how I got started live streaming. But I was thinking about it, and actually way back with My Invisible Diseases, and I was like, well, I want to hear other people's stories. Other people have cool stories. So yeah, Hazel, Girls Gone Wild. I have nothing against nudity.
The Borgia Gone Wild show.
Yeah, Borgia Gone Wild. We're gonna keep my tank top on. It may not be big, but it's covering enough. But, hey, and I don't have anything against nudity either. Like, that's cool. People are down with doing that. I'm not judgmental, but I'm like, wait a second.
You gotta be careful with the live streams though, because you can get a strike and you can get banned.
Oh, that is true. You got to be careful about what you're live streaming.
Actually, I don't know if I should be saying this, but I think Lilith got kicked off for eating those Tide Pods.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, she said that she got strike because of that. So if you guys out there, if you're live streaming, just be aware. You don't want to go extreme. You want to practice caution.
Yeah, it's always better to err on the side of caution. Not to say that I never cuss in real life. Okay, I admittedly do, not in front of children or people. It's inappropriate situations, but I try not to on here. Even though if you say it's adult content, you can get away with it. I try to err on the side of caution, because you can be suspended for 90 days or you can be completely shut down from live streaming. So you don't want to do that to yourselves.
Exactly.
But as for flashing, yeah, like I said, no problem with nudity. That's cool. We all came into the world that way, but ain't flashing the world anytime soon. Right. I love this. Request declined, says Hazel. Girls Gone Wild. Oh my God. Oh Jesus. As Angel says, the Lady Borgia, the twins want to be free.
Oh boy.
Jesus,
boy.
Just
before anybody asks, I'm not taking my shirt off either, so don't be expecting any flashing on my side.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Very brief story, and then we're going to get back into the other thing, but this is why I love the show. Oh, wait. Rachel said, I thought Frank said Tide Pods until I Googled it, and he meant Tide Pods. Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh. almost crying here.
I know, so am I, and I completely forgot what the hell I was saying. That's okay. Oh, Blindly Honest is back. He's
Welcome back.
Welcome back, honey. Good to see you again. Actually, Blindly Honest is actually our guest on Monday for You Stories. So.
Cool. And to everybody that's been on the chat since it started, you guys are super awesome. I love you guys. That's so cool supporting this interview. It's great.
Seriously, guys, thank you so much for coming. I am always thrilled. You know what? I have no idea what on earth I was saying. I'm laughing too hard. So I'm just.
We're talking about taking our shirts off and stuff like that.
Oh, so. Briefly. Okay. Now I remember.
So anybody that's just joining, like, what the heck is going on?
Seriously, it's like, oh, we're talking about taking your shirts off, and I'm like, oh, I remember. Well, that sparked it for me. Oh, okay. Breathe in air. I am starting to cry. Finally, I say with this live stream just got fun. Yeah, honey, this is what generally happens on here, but that's how we roll. We have fun on here. When you go to like Bike Week and stuff like that, I have a motorcycle license, but this was even before I had my motorcycle license. We went to Bike Week up in New Hampshire. My boyfriend at the time and a bunch of friends. It was a long-term boyfriend. And, oh, good. We're buffering a little bit. Come on, stop buffering. Good Lord, we got this far. All right, it'll stop in a second.
Yeah, you're sounding good to me right now. There's no problems on my side.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I'm looking at it, and it's buffering on my thing. I don't know what's going on.
You're coming through fine.
All right, guys, if you guys can hear me and I'm not buffering, can you tell me? Because suddenly the chat is stopped and I'm seeing it buffer. Okay, yeah, covering with one eye. Okay, good. All right, good. Oh, no buffering here. It's just me. I refreshed the page then.
Yeah, you're fine. Everything sounds fine.
Long story short, when you go to these bike weeks, we went up to Loudon, New Hampshire for the Laconia Bike Week thing. This is a long time ago. And when you go and you're riding the motorcycles along, and this is one of the few times I was a passenger because I prefer to be riding the motorcycle myself. One of the few people I trust on earth to do that. One of the things that they yell out to people is, show us your plank. And, you know, I'm not sure if it covers as cussing, but, you know, TITS. And so they're yelling that, and a lot of girls will do it, and they'll flash because, you know, it's streets lined with people, and they're flashing. Well, people yelled it at me, and I reached around and lifted up my boyfriend's shirt, and the whole crowd started dying laughing. And I was like, well, you didn't say who. And he almost fell off the motorcycle. He was laughing so hard. He's like, oh, my God, I don't believe you just did that, but that was so funny. So
that's awesome.
I have not flashed, but I did make, it was like, he was, you know, first love. We almost got married. I did make him flash once. So that's my flashing story.
That's great.
He's a, what did I just walk into? Lady Borgia made her boyfriend flash.
Yeah.
Well, they said they did not specify whose.
Yeah, well, you know.
So anyway. So we're going to bring it back around to what we were talking about before, which is actually, it's a lot of fun. The music, heavy metal music, actually, if you're into it and you know about it, there is a lot of energy to it. In fact, it's what I like to listen to, especially specific genres when I'm lifting weights and stuff like that. I wanted to bring it back around and dispel some notions about the Satanism. You're a devil worshiper. It's all evil and bad. And because as you see, you know, we're having a hell of a lot of fun here. And both Frank and I have listened and been musicians in heavy metal for more years than I'm going to tell you. So,
right.
As you guys can see, it's, you know, listen to his music and stuff like that. It's not, and as he can tell you, and I'm going to have him tell you in a bit, it's more about the energy in the music than anything. So how does it do for the energy for you, and tell people how it really isn't about something evil?
Okay, so basically, my reasoning for gravitating towards the metal music is I had a lot of hardships, as anybody would as a child. So I found that the metal music was an outlet for me to express myself through an instrument and through the music. So by listening to that style of music, I was able to use it in a positive way. The area that I grew up around was at that time was very gang infested. So there was a lot of gangs. And me being young, I was always being approached to be part of a gang and to be part of that culture. And because I was into music so much, that took me away from that. Even though I was in the same neighborhood, they didn't know how to approach me because they're like, well, he listens to this kind of music, so we don't even know how to approach it. We're just going to leave him alone. So in a lot of ways, the metal music was an outlet for me to express, say, my anger and my issues, my personal issues, and it kept me away from gravitating towards something that would have been, quite frankly, a bad choice for me, you know. And I can tell you right now, like some of my family members went in a different route, and because they went a different route, they ended up in some bad places, you know. But for me, I was able to allocate all my efforts and all my sadness into the music, and metal has a way of doing that. I'm not gonna say that there isn't. You know, there are bands who are outright into Satanism, you know, but you can pretty much tell who's what. You know, they're pretty open about who they are, and to be honest with you, they're a very small group compared to the bands who are not. You know, metal in itself as a whole, it's huge. You know,
so it's massive.
Yeah, and even now there's even more subgenres. You know, so for me, on a personal level, was to find the music and to interject all that energy into that, and then being able to create the music myself, and then seeing what it can do for others. You know, as a matter of fact, a couple months ago, we played a show at a venue not too far away from here. And I remember it was an all ages show, and these young kids coming up to the table to buy our CD, you know, and I can see in them what was in me back then, you know, and I felt grateful that I'm like, I can provide this to them now because I'm the performer, you know, and I can chat with them, you know, and it was really cool to just have these 15-year-old kids come up and be like, hey, we love your music, and you sign the CD, you know, and to have that positive thing being put on with them, because I know they're probably going through the same thing right now. And so when I was a kid, you don't know where to go. You know, there's so many directions you can go, and you can very easily end up in jail or hurting somebody else because you don't know where to put that energy, you know. So to become a part of it, to be a musician and create a music that is an outlet in a positive way for younger kids, it made me feel good, you know. It was a small thing, but to me, it meant a lot to me. I was like, wow, these kids, they remind me of me. When I was looking for direction and I needed somewhere to be, I can go to a concert, and it was safe. Yeah. Every concert that I've ever been to, there's just such a feeling of community. You perfect strangers, they'll put their arms around you. You know, I know a lot of people see the moshing and it's like, oh, they're beating each other up. But quite frankly, if you're not in there, you don't realize that there's actually, it's just a way of expression, and nobody's really hurting themselves.
Nobody's in a mosh pit. You're not being hurt. In fact, if somebody comes into a mosh pit and is being violent, everybody will take them out.
Right.
It's not allowed, and it doesn't matter if it's, you know, people don't even have to know each other. And you have to think of a mosh pit as pretty much a style of dance. It's kind of a rough style of dance because it is done to the time of the music. And it's extremely energetic, and it's a way to get out, you know, feelings and aggression in a positive way that you're not really hurting someone. I mean, once in a while you would get something like that, and I've had people block me. I've had people grab people and, you know, kick them out, and people who don't even know you will be very protective of you.
Right. Yeah, I met so many cool people going to concerts. You know, I've made long-term friendships. I've met other musicians. I mean, this music has, at least on a personal level, has created different avenues for me. As a matter of fact, being a photographer and a DIY filmmaker, the reason for it was to document everything that's going on that you most likely won't see, because the mainstream media more of the time won't show, you know, this camaraderie in the mosh pits. You know, they'll be like, oh, look at, you know, another violent outbreak or something. You know, they'll glamorize it in such a way that it's a bad thing, you know, because they don't know themselves, you know. But to be there, you know, to, like Lady Borgia said, to experience it on your own and see it for yourself, you don't see the friendships and how cool everybody is, and then the long-term friendships that are made just by taking part in these concerts. And it's all positive. Nothing bad has ever happened, you know, in these big concerts. So it's definitely a plus. But yeah, going back to are there bands that are, you know, on the negative, that are satanic? Yes, there are. Unfortunately, there are. But you can very easily know what that is, you know, and you can be like, okay, I understand what that is right away, as opposed to just don't categorize all of metal into this one thing, because there's definitely many branches of metal.
And you might see, sorry to interrupt, names or band names that sound like, wow, that's a rough name. It doesn't necessarily mean that just because the name is maybe a little, you might say a little harsher, or actually my term for it is a little more raw, but it doesn't mean that they're actually saying something bad. It's, you know, you got to listen to what they're saying and doing before you make a judgment call on it. Because, you know, people here, especially when people do like the really growly metal, which is really hard on your throat, and they look angry and they're headbanging, they're thrashing around and they look evil and whatnot, and they're perfectly nice people. It doesn't, to really understand, you know, who's who, you've got to stop and listen, and then you'll see which ones it is.
Right. Or you can also think of it as like when you watch a horror movie, you know, you got to pretend that it's like, hey, you're just watching this movie. It's just, that's kind of what it is. You know, you're just watching something. But at the end of the day, you know, they're just people just like you and me. Everybody's the same, you know. We all have to go to work.
And
we all Flash people. Sorry, I had to bring it back to that.
No, that was perfection. That was the perfect moment. S2W Theme said his first mosh pit was in Los Angeles. Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
Wow.
It's that's a really great place to get to start.
Does you remember what band?
Yeah, seriously, S2W Themes, what band was it? Rachel says, well, we're waiting for him to answer. She says, now that I'm older, I can't really listen to metal anymore because I'm a chef and the guy in the kitchen's killed it for me. Oh, that's a bummer.
I know a guy who's on death metal who's a chef. He's a death metal player in a brutal band. The name of his band is Gorgasm.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Angel says, when I listen to my music, my spirit tells me if it's dark or not, and I never picked up on that Frank's channel. Exactly. There you go.
Good. Thank you.
That's let's see. Angel says there's satanic in all genres, which that is very true. A lot of people don't realize that. And one thing, actually, that some people don't realize is actual Satanism isn't worship. If it's actual real Satanism, isn't even actually worshiping Satan. It's self-worship. But I just know that because I happen to read a lot about religions, and but there are people that, yes, fixate on, you know, the devil and this, that, and the other thing. But like Angel said, listen, you know, with your true heart, and you find out it's not really like that. And I'm so glad that Frank brought up the camaraderie at these events. It can be at a coliseum. It can be at a smaller event. If there's anybody who's, you know, rude or nasty or whatnot, people take up for each other. You make friends there. You end up making friends that you know for years. There's a whole like thing to the whole, especially the underground and stuff like that, that is fantastic. Hazel said they destroyed instruments. Unfortunately, some people who aren't actually bad destroy instruments. It pains me, Hazel, to see an instrument destroyed.
You know what? It pains me too when I see it. That's why all my guitars are intact, except for me falling on top of mine that one time. I don't break my instruments because they're expensive.
Yeah. Some people who aren't bad actually do that. I guess they can just afford to. I could be a billionaire. I still could not bear to harm an instrument. That's like a child to me. Even my beginner guitar that I still have from 13 years old, that, you know,
Wow.
it's nothing special. You know, it's nothing compared to, like, my bass is a Fender Precision Light. It's a very nice bass, and it's a little lighter weight. I can't play like I used to because of my arthritis, but I still would never get rid of any of these things. These are my babies. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so an interesting question that I have is, you go into a lot of the Chicago underground stuff. How do you find it different from the bigger, larger, like, concert tours, going to the smaller underground venues?
Okay, so you have usually you can tell the difference is the smaller shows happen in like smaller venues, and usually it's a lot more cozy. The bigger shows happen in slightly bigger venues, and they're usually touring bands from other states. And for the most part, usually when you have a touring band, a higher package, sometimes they pick from the local bands to have an opening act, you know. So that's another thing maybe people might not know about. But when two bands are going on tour, if there's two bands on tour, depending on whatever state they go to, they're picking from the crop of local bands that are happening in the scene, and they're taking them on for that show. So you're getting to see both a national act and a local act as a supporting act. So
That's really cool.
But going to the shows, you find that a lot of, if you go to the smaller shows, you see, well, at least for me, you see a lot of my friends are there. A lot of people that I know are there at the local shows. Most of them are musicians. A lot of the times, there might be a few that are newcomers, but very little. It's usually a lot of musicians supporting musicians. When you go to the bigger venue, now you get to see more of like the younger kids, more people that support international bands and whatnot. But you'll still see the smaller bands, musicians who are supporting each other going to the bigger shows. So not very big difference. I particularly film a lot more local bands because I feel that all that still needs to be documented. I still feel that even though now a lot of people film with their phones and whatnot, I'm filming with a DSLR camera. I have different settings on mine. I try to give it the best sound that I possibly can.
Well, yours are a little different. I mean, people filming on phones, it's all well and good, and it's a way to see it. But I akin what you do more to cinematography or actual filming. Making a short film than just a quick video on a phone.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I put a lot of effort into it. Sometimes I even wind up stripping the audio from the live performance and actually working it in my little digital studio to enhance it even more and then put it back together. So I do spend a lot of time. I don't just want to just slap it on there, and I don't want to do a disservice to the local band because it's being put out there. So I don't want to just put out something that's not good, because I don't want to make them look bad in the spotlight. I mean, I can tell you a story right now. There was a band that I did not film because they were so hammered before they went on stage, they could not perform. And I had my camera. I filmed the other bands, but I did not film them. And a lot of people film that band with their phones, and they put that stuff out there. I'm like, that's got to be embarrassing. Because I know when that band, when they're sober, they're not going to want to see these videos of them not being able to play their instruments because they're so drunk. So I kept my camera down. I'm like, I'm not going to film that. So a lot of the times I want to, and then me being in a band myself, I don't want, my band shown in a bad light either. If it sounds bad or we had a bad performance, and for the most part, a lot of the support I give, it's also being received very positively. I've never once had anybody say, "Oh, take that down," or "I don't want to see that." As a matter of fact, I get asked to come out to a lot of shows, because I put a lot of good integrity in what I'm filming. I don't want it to be just something that's just like, "Oh, here, look at this." It's like, no, I want to put effort into it to showcase the band. As a matter of fact, I do a blog too, so I'm doing both. I'm doing videography and I'm doing photography for the bands too, and I'm also writing a blog piece about their live performance. So I'm hitting all those mediums to get bands support, You know, because back in the day, you would do it in a way that was like you were doing I don't know if people are familiar with this term, but a zine. You do a fanzine, which is basically
Oh, well, I haven't thought about those in a
yeah,
while.
right. So that was way back. That's how we used to do it old school. This was before internet. So you write out a piece, and you oftentimes you go to the Xerox machine, you put together these handmade magazines or zines that were called, and you write a piece about the band to get the word out about the bands that normally you wouldn't. So then I kind of treat it like the same way when I'm doing local bands. It's like I'm filming them, I'm taking photographs, I'm writing a story, but more like in the more modern age of digital formats.
Well, you approach it from a great respect, because I have to say, you know, as a musician, and I've seen musicians, you know, get a little happy when they're, you know, partying beforehand and get, you know, kind of not necessarily meaning to, but end up going on and being a little sloppy. And that's, you know, a large amount of respect that you have. And I have to commend you for not filming them during that, because
Thanks.
yeah, that's really not how most musicians want to be seen. I mean, there's I'm sure one in every group that's a mess, and they don't end up lasting very long because you're not going to get very far if you can't play. But you know, it happens. It can happen. Just, you know, and I think a lot of people here are saying, you know, that it says right here, Frank is a class act.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And oh, Rachel says, do I remember 18 in Life by Skid Row? Yes, I do.
I do too.
Yes, I do remember that.
I still like that song. I still like that band. It's okay.
It wasn't one of my favorites, but I definitely remember the song. And yes, of course, Iron Maiden. Yes, I was a diehard Iron Maiden, loved Maiden. But no, that's, you know, that's really respectful, and I've got to commend you for that, because I have to imagine that, you know, they come back and I'm like, oh, Jesus, what did I do? You know, everybody has a bad night sometimes, and, you know, oh, Angel says, poor Guns N' Roses, I enjoyed them, but the drugs. Yeah, unfortunately, that will affect your performance.
Yep.
That it's, you know, that happens sometimes, but no, that's really cool that you do that. In fact, I didn't know that you also did a blog. Where can we find your blog to read?
It's called Metal Music Midwest.
Music Midwest.
Right. So I used to do reviews on there, but I've found some constraints because I wanted to focus more on photography. So then I switched it from doing album reviews, like metal album reviews, and I switched it over to focus more on photography and video.
Oh, cool. I'd really like to check it out. So it's metalmusicmidwest.com?
Yes. It's a
awesome.
It's a blog spot.
Oh, it's on Blogspot. Okay, I'll put it down. I want to read it, and I'm going to put it in tomorrow into the information. So if there's anything else that, you know, all the different things you can find down below with these guys. Hey, Jaded Diva has stopped in to say hello. His Wi-Fi is buffering.
How are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for coming by. We're well into the second hour, so we won't be on for much longer, but I am so thankful that you came by. I always tell everybody, and this was actually something that I was going to mention, Frank said it when we were talking about live streaming. I do the same show, whether it's 2 people or 1,000 people. Same show. It doesn't matter to me, you know, whatnot. You know, always give your best to whether it's live performance, live streaming, whatever it is. I don't even look at how many people are in the room. Once people are in the room and the chat's going, I have no idea. And that's a piece of advice that I can give you guys is don't look at how many people are there. Just, you know, go for it.
Yep.
So that's really cool about your blog. I don't want to keep you too long. We've been having a wonderful time tonight. What else might you guys want to ask Frank? And Frank, what might you guys want to tell everybody as we're starting to wrap up the show for tonight?
I just want to say I enjoy this show. I enjoy this opportunity. Thanks for having me come on and talk my story, a little bit of my story. And everybody, I got several days that are scheduled for the Candid street photography stuff. So for you photogs out there who are interested, I actually have about 5 or 6 days ahead of schedule, and those will be
cool.
Yeah, so you'll if you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I'll give you a day in advance as before when that's going to be uploaded, so you can check those out. So I know there's a lot of people that are commenting on the photos, and it's been taken pretty well, and some people are starting to ask questions because they want to do the same type of thing with their camera. So if I can help them out, I'm all ears. Feel free to ask me anything.
I definitely do. I want to do the same thing in New York. I just, it's just a difference. So I'll definitely be asking. What is your Instagram handle?
Oh, my Instagram handle is ARTIMORTIFICA.
Yeah, I definitely want to follow you on Instagram. Unfortunately, I've been kind of neglecting both of my Instagrams, but they're going to be picking back up soon. And I'm going to be getting back on there. I had to thankful to anybody who goes to my Instagrams, because somehow they haven't just completely disappeared. I don't know how, they kind of got neglected for a little bit as I got some of these shows up and running. But as people saw last night, I sat down and played for a little while and had some fun. Oh, Angel has something right here. And of course, I'll let you finish up what you were saying too. S2W Themes, Frank, it was a pure pleasure to be on this chat. You are awesome and enjoy the content, which, yes, absolutely. I would love to have you back again because there's so much more to discuss.
Definitely.
But,
I enjoyed
great. That would be fantastic because Angel and I did it the first one. We did 4.5 hours, but I try to keep it around 2 because I know it's hard for people to watch more than 2,
right?
Back. So I tend to, that's why I started doing, you know what, you can have the person back.
Right.
And then it makes it more watchable for people. So I would love to have you back again. There's so much more to discuss with you. Angel wants to say, she said she would like Frank to interview you on his show about her book. That would be perfect since he's reading it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm pretty sure that was also something I had mentioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a good read, really wrap my head around it. And then we can work something out similar to this, now that, maybe Lady Borgia can walk me through some of her settings and how she got this going. And I'll be happy to do kind of like a live stream interview type of thing. I would love to do that for sure.
Oh, and Rachel, I see she has to go, but she says Lady Borgia, and I tend to say ARTIMORTIFICA. I know that's okay because I know it's the full name. You guys rocked this chat tonight for real.
Have a good night, Rachel. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pure pleasure to have you. Would love every single person that comes in this chat. Thank you so much. S2W Theme says, that's why when I come here, time flies. Thank you. And this is episode 4, and I honestly, every single show, I could not wish for more. It is so fantastic.
And we kept our shirts on, so.
Yoo-hoo! We did. We are still shirted. Mine might be a tank top. And in fact, I have skulls on today. So yeah. And that was not on purpose. It was just hot out, and this is the shirt that I happened to grab. So
hey, the universe works in mysterious ways.
That it does. Oh, Jaded, that is so sweet. And so it's the lady. She can make time fly. Oh, that's sweet. But I love that. The universe works in mysterious ways. Yes. I have my shirt, and I have it on still. Thank God. So please, anybody who has any more questions, and please go ahead with what you were saying about, because before you do that interview, I actually want to get Angel's book as well and read it. So when I'm watching the interview,
so for everybody out there, that's this is the book right here. It's called A Turn in My Belly. I got it through Amazon, and it only took 3 days to get here, so it was real fast.
Yeah, they're also available at angeldomingue.com. I think Angel said they're cheaper there. They are available internationally from what I remember. And the proceeds from the book actually just go back to making more books. Angel doesn't actually make any money off of them. So everybody go and check out Angel's book either on Amazon or angeldomingue.com, and you can get it internationally. And pick it up and read it. So when these two do, and Frank does interview her, we'll have a little basis in this to know what's going on and asking questions. I've looked into them, but I did not get to actually read it yet. So I'm really looking forward to that. Poor Jaded Diva is buffering with no connection. Talk to you later, guys. Thank you, Jaded Diva. Thank you for coming by. You know I love my diva. You know I love my diva, and I will be by one of your live streams soon. Thank you so much, Jaded Diva, for your Cinco de Mayo party. I had a blast. He had a little party on Saturday, and it was just a little live stream, but we had a ball in there. It was hysterical.
Cool.
But Angels, oh, awesome! Thank you for the plug. Of course, honey, you were my first guest, and I have to give Angel, and I have to give this to Frank too. I have to give it to everybody that's been on. When I first started talking about the show, well before, because it took me a good month and a half to get it going the way I wanted it to go. You were some of the first people to say, hey, yes, I'll be on. So I really appreciate that, because without you guys, I don't have a show. It doesn't make, I mean, that's just Lady Borgia live, you know, with no people. So thank you, Frank.
Yeah, definitely love being here.
You were one of the first people right in there with Angel. You know, you heard my idea. It's a little bit different than a lot of people do, and especially because I do expect a little more time out of a person. You know, it does take, you guys got to realize, this takes the guests time. They're not just coming on to do the interview. They're also spending their time talking to me first, going back and forth, sending me information. Not that I'm putting down in any way shows that do less research. That's perfectly fine. It's just, this is the type of show it is. So I've really got to give credit to every single person who's been on, because it is truly a collaboration.
Right. And everybody on the chat, if you could, it'd be nice if you can give it a thumbs up, you know, and for everybody who's watching the rebroadcast, if you can reshare it, if you enjoy our little interview, if you can reshare the rebroadcast, even leave some comments on this rebroadcast and ask us questions then, because I'll be happy to answer anything you guys got to say.
Absolutely. You can ask a question, he can come back and answer it. And also when he comes back for another interview, because like I said, there's so much more to talk about, he can answer it then too. But yeah, ask him questions in the comments if you're watching this on a rebroadcast, because he'll be stopping by and, you know, checking it out.
Definitely.
And you can still, you know, ask Frank questions and look forward to him coming on down the road sometime later. Oh, thank you, S2W Themes. He tweeted it and he said, Lady, you are a natural. Thank you so much. I think all my guests have been naturals too. So, Frank, it has been wonderful to have you. What would you like to say to everybody before we wrap it up?
I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Lady Borgia, you're super awesome. Thank you for having me. I look forward to coming back again.
Thank you so much, Frank. This has been fantastic. Honestly, I would love to keep it going longer because it's so much fun.
This is good. This is a good way to go.
It's hysterical, but yeah, I want to make it so people on the rebroadcast can watch it, and then they can look forward to you again, because I certainly will be. And everyone, thank you so much for coming. Everybody who was here earlier, thank you for coming. There were so many people that have been through tonight, and I understand you have other things in your life to do, and I so appreciate it. Please don't miss Blindly Honest on Monday. That's the 14th. She'll be the next guest. And on Saturday, the 12th, we have a really, really big thing that's near and dear to my heart, World Fibromyalgia Day. It is not just for my fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune diseases, any invisible illness. Come on. Angel's going to be a guest on there, as well as anybody else who'd like to come and be a guest to support it. It's not just for patients, it's for caregivers, family members. If you know anybody, please come, and it can help healthy people too. We're going to try to raise some money for them. And I'm going to give you, it's going to be a kickoff for my new health and wellness show to help people out with everything that I've learned and gone the long way figuring out. I'm going to pass it on to you and give you a place for continued support in the future. So, as Angel said, please come back after the live stream is over and leave a comment. Please ask Frank questions if you've watched this and you didn't get to ask, and look forward to him being on. And I will add the links. Don't forget to go check out his music and buy some. Check out his blog. He's got two wonderful bands, Blow the Whoop and Asphyxiator. And thank you so much, Frank.
No problem.
Glad we kept our shirts on.
Yes, indeed.
All right, guys. Good night. I
Good
love
night.
you all. Lady Borgia.
Bye-bye.